Yes.
Okay.
It's Fred Meyer, I think QFC, and
Oh, is it QFC? I have a
another
QFC
QFC
literally
is
down the street.
also QFC is
Okay.
also Kroger, yeah.
I'll poke
It's
my head in there and see if I see it.
I feel like
Used to
they
be
have
live
another one up
now.
here
further
too.
east. Smith's further east here.
Well, Jones, I know Jones is everywhere. So
Yeah,
it's
we have
not
Jones
Yeah.
up here, but
exclusive,
we don't have the Grady one.
But Jones is a Seattle-based company, so I wonder if it'd be easier to get our hands on that because it's here-ish.
I would imagine you could find it at like Bevmo or something too.
Probably. We are live on both apps right now. I got us on YouTube and I got us on Twitch. We are solid.
All right. Give me 1 sec.
Chat
What's up,
box is
lurgers?
way here.
All right, we ready? I got so many buttons in front of me right now.
Let's freaking go.
Push them all.
No. Okay, look. Sure, Lin-Manuel Miranda has a Tony, an Emmy, an Oscar, but does he have a Game Award? I didn't think so. The 2024 Game Awards nominees today on...
Is that what the G and EGOT stands for? I don't think that's right.
It's a GG now.
Wow.
It's an EGOT.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Press B to Cancel. It's been a while. We missed a week, but we're glad to be back this week, especially this week, actually, because what has now become a tradition, the Game Awards announced their nominees at the start of this week, and we've been having a lot of fun over the past couple of years, kind of breaking down the nominations and giving our takes on what we think should maybe win or what is not, probably doesn't belong there. You know, games like Elden Ring don't belong in every goddamn category.
Wow.
Sorry, YouTube. So we're going to break down the nominees for 2024. There's some interesting stuff there, but I can't do this alone. No, I'm joined by three good friends. One was a surprise today. We'll start with Wolf. How you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. Been finally started my Sisyphean game in the last week, so that'll be just
Better
in the
late
nick
than
of
never.
time.
Better late than never. You like to do things right at the. You're gonna beat it at 11:59.
I kind of do.
December 31st.
No. Well, I'll come back to this at the end of the episode, but depending on how this playthrough goes, it might last me a lot longer than I anticipated.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Looking forward to that. And Chard, how are you doing this week, Chard?
I'm good. I'm very excited to talk about this and tell everybody that you're wrong. I'm wearing my shirt in representation of how I feel about the upcoming thing that we're going to discuss today. So I'm pumped.
Right. And also, welcome back to Sinistar. It's been a few weeks. How you doing?
Check your mic there.
Quiet.
You're on mute.
You're muted. You are muted.
I'm doing very well.
There it is.
There
Hello.
you go.
Hello.
Look,
Hello.
look, I have to relearn how to podcast. Okay.
I remember my first coming back party.
I want to point out to the viewers that I did get the wall up. And so
all the Bard's Tale games.
all the Bard's Tale
interim
games.
wall.
The critical games.
So
Yeah.
if you're playing the home game, you've probably just gotten bingo.
In the first 3 minutes, that's pretty good bingo.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about Geoff Keighley's The Game Award nominees. So I've kind of gone through them. Do you guys know? Did you guys take an advanced look through the list, or is this going to be completely a surprise for you guys?
No,
You're the only one with knowledge. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then. So I'll pull it up for people watching us on YouTube, and then we'll also take turns kind of going through the categories and naming off the nominees, and we'll talk about them. Although, just before we get to that, I guess the discourse, there's always something with the Game Awards. There's always some hot takes some folks have. This year, I guess the concern is, why does DLC or expansions count as a game, right? So the big one, of course, is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is a fantastic DLC that came out this year.
That's right.
Spoilers.
Shout out to that Erd Tree. Let's go.
Spoilers, it got nominated for some categories, and people are kind of upset. They feel like that took a spot from an actual game. What do you guys think of this?
Wow.
Well, because the DLC is not a full game, right?
Okay.
Hold on. I have a question. I do have a query, though. Real question. Last year, Phantom Liberty, was it last year? Was
Yep.
selected as like best ongoing. So we've already had this. I mean, we haven't had this discussion, but we've had a similar discussion about DLCs being allowed in for some kind of
Well,
Right.
something.
I think that it honestly has to do with the category. Best ongoing seems like an expansion category, right?
I agree.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
But if it
Yeah,
takes
or like
something, go
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna
no,
say,
no,
or
go.
like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, the expansions that
That
come
makes
out,
more
Sure,
sense for
that sort of
ongoing,
thing.
in my opinion. But
sure.
that
But
makes sense.
if it's like game of the year and it's a DLC, I'm gonna probably take a little bit of a of umbrage with it. But I'm
Yeah, it's
gonna
kind of weird.
I'm gonna take my I haven't played Shadow of the Erd Tree, but I'm gonna take, say, Blood and Wine from Witcher 3. And that DLC, sure, it was 20 something hours, but it felt like an entire game in itself. Now it helps that it really changed the location and I mean, it basically changed the entire game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's great you mentioned that one because that actually won in its year Best RPG at the Game Awards.
Blood and Wine
So
did.
yeah, it did, and I
Okay.
agree with you there.
This has
That
already happened
does
then.
feel like it's an almost Witcher story that's completely segregated. It's on its own, and it was pretty
Yeah.
great. And even Phantom Liberty last year, Chard. That's a pretty isolated DLC. I know it's part of the whole wider cyberpunk map, but you could spend a lot of time just in that one map, and it does feel like a separate story. So I think that kind of counts too. It's not like we're
Then
saying,
how does Erdtree not fall into that category? It feels basically like its own game on its own.
It really did expand the map. I mean, it
I
really
mean,
did.
it's huge.
Yeah.
It's not like if we're talking like let's use Dark Souls as an example because it's a FromSoft game and it has 2 DLCs. One of those DLCs feels like just extra stuff. There's 2
Right.
boss fights in it. The story kind of elaborates, but it doesn't make anything better. There's no like it doesn't change anything in my opinion,
Right.
lore wise or anything like that. You still beat the game and you're still like, oh, Lord of Cinder or whatever. But with Erdtree, it felt like it added more to the lore, more of the history. You actually get to see Mikla, who has been mentioned on numerous occasions, being Melinia's twin brother. He's in there somewhere, but you never see him. And then he becomes a huge portion of the lore in the game. And this expansion is 30 hours long or something,
Yeah.
and it had 100 plus weapons. It had 50 plus bosses. I mean, it was a whole nother area to the fact that this will be the only DLC that I'm aware of that Elden Ring's even going to get. So it was basically a whole nother. It could have been its own game. Now, because it's a DLC and it's downloadable content, but it was still what, $40 to buy it. I mean, it was almost a full price game.
Yeah.
It was a full game. It was worth every penny I spent. And listen, I know I'm the Elden Ring apologist here. I get it. That's fine. But I don't believe that DLC should be game of the year. But this almost can skirt the line of if we're going to let Phantom Liberty in because of the same argument, I'm the only one that played it. And it felt like a whole nother game. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't disagree. I think it does count as a game for what has been said. I mean, and especially when this is not the first year they've done this, right? Like we had Phantom Liberty last year. We had Blood and Wine for Best RPG years ago. It makes sense in this context, right? It's not like you said, the Dark Souls DLC, which is like one small area or a couple boss fights, then no, I would agree I don't think that would count. That's more of just an add-on. But the line is very, very thin. And I guess that's the idea of this is when you look at that add-on or DLC or expansion, is it meaty enough of an experience where you feel like it sits in your memory as a solid cohesive experience? Then sure, it counts, right? But this goes back to other categories or other things you could have, like does early access count, or does I don't know, remix.
I mean,
Thank you.
we've talked about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So and then they also count according to the rules as well. Anything that is basically something you play during the year that is new, I think they're accepting it as a game. If the person felt it was meaty enough, if it was content enough to be considered a game. So I'm fine with it, and it's not like it's the first year. But I did see a lot of folks really pissed off at Elden Ring this year, especially with some of the other games that maybe didn't make the cut.
I mean, I want to call it out here that really, even if we have an issue with it, it really is kind of a level of gatekeeping.
Very
Sure.
true.
And
Very true.
so like the fact of the matter is the nominees are the nominees, and we're not going to change that.
Right.
So we can either be pissed off, or we can just, steer into the skid, right?
I like to think of it as it was so good that it deserved to be put in a category that normally something of that caliber
And
would not
and
have even been selected. So that's more of a like, hey, that's kind of a big deal. Like, give these guys a pat on the back. They made a DLC that's like up for game of the year, a DLC that could be up for game of the year. That's give the guys some credit. That's some good stuff.
I mean, if it was Blood and Wine on the table, I would not be upset at all.
Yeah, same for sure.
And this
So-
is my blood and wine, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine with it.
So I just want to make sure we talk about that a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
I have some issues here. I feel like why can't they just have a best DLC category?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's a good point
Maybe
too.
like
Out of the
best
head.
paid DLC or something like that. So that way it feels like, it's giving the spotlight to things that you actually have to pay for.
Right.
Because best ongoing DLC doesn't really feel like it falls into the best ongoing category like last year.
Agreed.
So that was
Agreed.
kind of weird with Phantom Liberty.
Mhm.
But DLC also doesn't fall into best game. Like, did Zack Snyder's
Right.
Justice League get considered for any awards as a separate movie? Because
Right.
I mean, it's
I wonder if it did.
basically the same movie. It's
Right.
just twice as long. It's a whole
Right.
additional movie, right? But it's not. It's still at its core the base movie. So, at its core, it's still Elden Ring. It's not a brand new game. It is an expansion or DLC.
Just more
And
of.
so I feel
Right.
like, yeah, and there are enough games out there with season passes to their DLC that I think best DLC could be a category. And if you only have 3 or 4 good AAA ones, and then one really standout indie one, yeah, give that indie the spotlight as well. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
who's it hurting? Unless you as the AAA company, take umbrage with, oh, I'm categorized with this. Who cares? Like, you made a
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
they made a game. Fuck off.
The thing with this too is that the Game Awards, people take it very seriously, and there's not much reason to, right?
No,
Like,
there really isn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it being in the category. Like, I
Oh,
don't
I
care
am.
that much.
Oh, I
But
am. Up all
I
night,
think it's weird.
staring at the ceiling.
It's
I just like how
Charge
we've
us.
managed
Alright.
to squeeze the word umbrage in twice this episode. That is
That's what
awesome.
we bring.
It's-
That's the
it's
value
a-
we bring.
It's a lovely word.
I
Like, it kind of-
will have order.
It kind of
Okay.
sounds like what you're taking. Like, if you take umbrage with something, it sounds like you're taking something like absolutely the wrong way or upset. You're taking it upset, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
it's a great word.
Like-
I like it and panoply. So there you go.
And let me
I take
let me
my
dumb it
umbrage
down.
with a
I'm not
cool glass
butthurt
of
over
Dr.
it,
Pepper.
but
That's better. Thanks for speaking my language. It's better.
Yeah.
You guys are using big words.
I think it's fine. I mean, I wouldn't mind a best DLC category, even if they want to say best expansion, game expansion,
Sure.
so that it's kind of implying that it's more of a meatier or larger experience. Because like for so many years, we had these like $5-10 DLCs that felt like a waste. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want a
yeah.
new character for Guilty Gear Strive to be
Yeah.
considered for best DLC. That seems silly to me when there's something like
But it's the
Diablo
best
4
fighter
Vessel
in
of
the game.
Hatred, for example.
Yeah, no, it would have to be expansion. Best expansion.
I'd be fine with that.
Anyway, that said, we don't
I
get
hope
the
Archery
choice,
wins
right?
it all.
Well,
This makes
First
my voting
category.
easier this year.
the first category actually has nothing to do with this year's games. It's actually for most anticipated game. So we have this going to come up on the screen for those on YouTube, but for those
Deja
who are on
vu.
audio, who wants to read out the first category's nominees?
I got it.
For most, okay, go for it.
All right, most anticipated game. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Ghost of Yotai?
Your time.
Yote.
Ghost of Yote? Grand Theft Auto 6, which will come out in 17 years. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which will come out in 16 years.
Got
And
a
Monster
subtitle?
Hunter Wilds, which will come out next year.
in February. Matter of fact,
We did mention 2 of these in
we
the
did.
games we were looking forward to next year
Actually, I
episode.
think we mentioned 3 of these. To be fair, I think
Did
Jake
we?
was talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. I think he had a little bit of
Yeah.
a blurb for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I was surprised that it was announced for next year. Apparently, it is coming out next year, although it's slated for the end of the year. So the odds of it being bumped to 2026.
Delays.
Yeah, probably, but it's definitely within 2 years, which I think is pretty interesting. And then, yeah, I mean, I think they're all meant to come out next year. Death Stranding 2 next year, Metroid Prime 4 supposedly, right, coming
How long
out.
has that
Maybe
been
a Switch 2
supposedly?
launch title.
Jesus Christ. Amazon delivery with a baby.
Yeah.
And like
What
Monster
to
Hunter Wilds, we
expect?
said on the
Yeah.
last episode, comes out in February, banger year. So these are some interesting games. Death Stranding 2, I got to talk about real quick. I don't think I care one way or the other, but I will say that trailer with when it goes low frame rate when the puppet is on screen is peak Kojima. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for that game. It's weird.
I have not.
Yeah,
It's been a
bizarre.
while, but yeah.
It's Kojima.
I-
I mean, what do you
Yeah.
expect?
Okay. I am gonna mention, like, I have some interest in Death Stranding 2, but I enjoyed Death Stranding. I played through it. I enjoyed it. It was weird. I don't know if I'll ever play it a second time, but the first time was an interesting experience. I'll give it that.
That was my experience, was watching Wolf play what to expect
Yeah.
when you're FedExing.
It was just so batshit. It was great.
Like
Yeah,
the
Toxic
poop
Brown do for you.
grenades, the peeing on mushrooms, the Monster Energy drink for no reason,
Well, and
Norman Reedus.
I kept referring to the BTs as British Telecom. It's the
Yeah.
British Telecoms. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's funny because Norman Reedus was going to be in Kojima's Silent Hill adaptation, right? Silent Hills.
Yeah.
That never panned out for one thing or the other. So they were like, "Hey, we're gonna do this game instead. It's totally fucking weird. Are you in?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm killing zombies, so that's fine." I played it when I first bought my Steam Deck because I think I got it free with my video card, and I was messing around with it, and it's interesting, but it's weird. I need to get back into it and play it again because I know there's got to be it's Kojima though. I don't know if there's going to be anything to it. I'm gonna end it and be
It's-
like, huh?
Which
Why is it like-
which is how I felt
Honestly,
when Wolf finished it was,
okay,
huh?
yeah, it was all sorts of weird, and there were some really interesting emotional parts to it that were also just out there in other ways.
Mhm.
I appreciated the storytelling of it, even if I didn't completely grasp all of the story they were conveying.
Yep.
Like it's out there, but I mean, so like you guys said, so is Kojima. Like any
Right,
Metal
yeah.
Gear game, there's parts that I'm like, huh? And overall, it's still a good experience, even if
Right.
I don't necessarily get all of it, because some of it's just batshit.
Well,
like that's Kojima's middle name, right?
Kojima batshit crazy.
Yeah, if you
Well-
haven't seen the trailer for it, you have to go see the trailer real quick because, like I said, there's a sentient puppet character for some reason, and when it's on the screen, the frame rate drops purposely as a style effect. There's a guy with a gun guitar that looks like Ziggy Stardust for no reason.
Yeah,
It's
There's like a
definitely
Kempo
going to be an
looking dude.
experience. It's going to be worth watching. I don't know if I want to play it, but it's definitely an
Well,
interesting one.
And watching Norman Reedus nearly fall over all the time is going to be great again.
It's good times. And
Yeah,
Norman
the
Reedus
stumbling
physics.
dead.
Yeah. What
Daryl
about Ghost of
Dixon and the Stumbling
Yotai?
Dead.
Do you guys think about that one? I know who's played the first
do,
one,
yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima. That
That's-
looks pretty.
That's the one that I was one of the ones I talked about in our most
Yeah.
our most anticipated episode.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped about this one. This is going to be really cool. The first one's gorgeous, and the gameplay is really cool. The story's really neat. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I love Sucker Punch so far. They've done some really good work. So I look forward to Yotai. That's one that I'm eyeballing. In this list, it doesn't win because I think you already know which one I'm going to pick if we were to pick out of these 5. But it's definitely second in my list of things to watch.
Actually, I'm not sure what you would pick.
Really?
What would you go? Yeah,
Really?
no.
I'm all in on Monster Hunter, man. That game
Really?
is dope. And we played
Okay.
it. Like we played it. So there's some proof to the pudding. Like I'm really pumped about it. I haven't really gotten to touch anything else, but I like Ghost of Tsushima, so I have a feeling Ghost of Yotai will be very similar to that. I love Metroid Prime, but I haven't played Prime in years. So
Yeah.
There's some rust to that. Grand Theft Auto is Grand Theft Auto. It's going to be Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
You're going to get in. You're going to waste 48 hours just messing around in whatever city they put you in, and then you'll be like, oh, there's missions to do too. It's Grand Theft Auto. It can't lose. But
Yeah.
as for like things that if these games were all released in February, I would be more excited about Monster Hunter Wild because I have played it. I have tasted the fruit, and it is delicious. I can't wait to play that.
I think
I'm
for
all in.
That's
me,
fair.
I think for me, the most anticipated vote for me would be Metroid Prime 4, even though I kind of steer away from Nintendo and the Switch these days. I absolutely adored the Metroid Prime series, and I would love to see what they would do with it on modern controls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not excited about what Nintendo's been doing recently as a corporation, but Metroid Prime 4, I love the Metroid franchise. It's one of my favorites. So I'm most excited for Metroid Prime 4. If I had to
Yeah.
pick one that I think will win, GTA, hands down.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like for me, I'm with Chard. Monster Hunter Wilds, I just can't wait for. That beta was so good. I hope they do another one because I can't wait till February. I'm all in on that one. I'm looking forward to spending hundreds of hours in yet another Monster Hunter game. So I'm in for that. But I think you're right, Wolf. I think the judging will probably go for a GTA 6. It's been so long since we've had one, and that's like $1 billion franchise. So, but I mean, we'll see.
And GTA can't miss. Like they haven't missed
Yeah.
yet. It's almost a gimme, unfortunately, in this
Right.
particular category. So,
Yeah.
that's why I want to vote for something a little off the cusp with Monster Hunter Wild and you guys with Metroid Prime. I think that's kind of cool because everybody else is going to be totally in on GTA 6. So,
Yeah.
and I don't doubt it's going to be an amazingly fun game and a great time waster. But
Yeah.
what I really like, when it really comes down to the sauce, I've tasted the sauce and I like it for Monster Hunter Wild.
All right.
A
Let's
lot
move
of
on to the
food
next
references.
category. The
Sorry, I'm
next,
hungry.
not a real category.
I'll do this one.
Okay. Best adaptation.
Yeah. So we have best adaptation, Arcane, based on League of Legends, right?
Mhm.
Fallout, based on Fallout, right?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Knuckles, Like a Dragon,
Base,
Yakuza.
wait. What's Knuckles? What's
Well,
Knuckles based on?
I was on Sonic, right?
Knuckles, based on Knuckles. Yeah.
Like a Dragon, Yakuza, and
Didn't know they made that.
Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. So I want to preface a few things here. I have watched 3 of these. Like a Dragon is currently still releasing on Amazon. I've watched the first few episodes.
Oh.
I think it is spectacular. And we're watching
Really?
it dubbed because I don't like to have to rely on subtitles. Like my nystagmus fucks with me. I can't do it. So I like to watch dubs. So even with the dub, still decent.
Oh, good.
Nice.
All right.
So digging on it. The wife was all in on it. It's great. So, but
Okay.
we're deciding to let it finish before we actually continue on. But really good actors, really good storytelling. I appreciate it. I watched Knuckles, and as stupid as it sounds,
Fucking Idris Elba, though, right?
Yeah.
It's basically Dumb and Dumber in the Sonic universe. It's so much fun.
Nice.
What? Who's Idris Elba? He's Knuckles is not dumb.
He
Oh,
is
well, I guess the
clueless
character is he?
He's
Okay.
clueless about Earth customs.
Okay, I see.
He's all about being the best warrior ever. So, that's everything in his universe revolves around that. And so he's learning to sort of exist in this world of Earth where people actually make connections and have friendships and all this crap. And so Knuckles and Wade, it's a buddy adventure. It's so much fun. It's
Nice.
not amazing, but it's
Right.
fun and the soundtrack rocks.
I like the first Sonic
and then-
movies, so I imagine this has some very
Yeah.
similar taste to it. Yeah.
It does. It's very much that sense of humor. I mean, don't go in expecting Eggman because you're not getting it.
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah.
literally Knuckles, Wade, I don't remember his last name, and then like Wade's mom and sister.
Yeah.
It's some villain who never gets a name who apparently used to work for Robotnik. So, I mean, it's it's a little silly, and it all revolves around a bowling tournament.
What?
course.
I mean, why doesn't it? Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
Sure.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Anywhere
I
else that
do
wouldn't make
suggest
sense,
giving
but
it a
yeah.
watch.
You
and
know
And
what?
then,
then
of
of
I take
course,
course,
umbrage
Fallout,
with it
I've
not
watched.
being. I take umbrage with it being a bowling tournament and not something else.
somebody's taking umbrage.
I'm taking umbrage.
Yeah. There's a veritable panoply of umbrage tonight.
Oh boy. I heard a
So
new Knuckles came out, but I wasn't quite sure if I would like it, so I passed on it. But maybe I'll check it out. I was worried about Yakuza. If it sounds good, Wolf, then I'll watch it because I was really worried. I really like Yakuza 0 a lot. I love those characters. So if you think they do it justice, I'll give it a shot. And I mean, just real quick, Arcane, I don't think any of us have watched, but I heard it's
No.
really great on Netflix. I know it did really well for them. The Tomb Raider thing I saw before, I have zero interest in it. So for me, I think the winner would be Fallout. And to be fair,
Hands
even
down.
that I didn't
I
finish.
mean, I
Same.
mean, there. I can't think of a better way that they could have done a Fallout television show than what they did. I mean, it is from front to it is so good. I worry that
Yeah.
season 2 isn't going to hold up. Like
Right.
it is that good, right?
It's spectacular. My wife got into it. She's not really into it. She doesn't even know the games at all, but she was so
Yeah.
glued to it. She was actually asking me, "Can we watch Fallout tonight? Can we watch more Fallout tonight?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck yeah, we can absolutely watch that tonight."
My
So
wife did the
Paul
same
Goggins
thing.
was
and
amazing. The leads were all fucking spectacular. Fallout should win. This is
It was
just
killer.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it will win. Honestly, I would be surprised.
Yeah,
if it
that
doesn't.
too.
If
I
it
don't know,
doesn't, I'd be
Arcane's got a
questioning
lot
what
of
they're
love.
doing. Yeah, because it was so well received when it came out. It's so well popular. It's getting a second season.
It got
I
a
mean,
second
yeah.
season before it even finished. Like that's how
Right.
much they liked it.
I mean, honestly, the only competition would have been if Last of Us was released in the same year. Like,
Fair. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
That'd
Yeah.
be a good argument.
Yeah.
That'd be a strong
Yeah,
argument.
that'll be on the docket next year.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
That's
true. That'll be
season
an
2.
interesting matchup because they're both going to get nominated next year for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Next category. Who hasn't read yet? Chard, did you
Chard
go?
or you?
You
How
and
about
Char.
Chard, you
Is
go
it-
next?
Is it multiplayer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay design, the nominees are Call of Duty Black Ops 6, shocker. Helldiver 2, shocker. Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, which I hear has been getting some love since it's been
Boy, if I
released.
thought there was a category, I had no horse in the race.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Well,
this
I
one.
was gonna say I loved Warhammer Space Marine. I love the first game. I'm currently in cheap mode, so I haven't picked up Space Marine 2 yet. But I will. But honestly, otherwise, the only game I've played on this list is Helldivers 2, which most of us have played together.
Yeah.
The Mario Party games, I mean, they're always a good time. They're always a good time, but it's exactly the same formula every fucking
Mario
time.
Party Divorce Simulator.
Yeah. Yeah. But Helldivers 2 is a game that couldn't figure out how to win for its success.
Yep.
And honestly, I'm with you. There isn't a horse in this race. Maybe if I'd played Space Marine 2, but honestly, I look forward to the single player portion of it. So,
Right.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I've
so
heard a
sorry,
lot of love for Space Marine 2, and I agree with you on the Hell. Sorry, Jake. I agree with you on the Helldivers thing. It was almost like they couldn't get out of their own ways, and felt like they were literally trying to ruin the success they were having because they didn't know.
And then
Yeah.
Sony stepped in and said, "Wait, hold our beer."
Yeah, hold
Yeah.
our beer. So I would have been all in on Helldivers 2 because it blew me out of the water when it came out. And then it just
Fantastically
tanked.
fun for 2 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastically fun for 2 months.
I think Helldivers 2, I think I said before, it's the Arrowhead Studios made a game that was, for them, the game is disposable player characters, and the balance is all around the stratagems, and it's the ship in orbit that's the hero, not you. and that's the game they made, and they stuck with it. Players found fun by having that, that power fantasy of being a space marine or being a, a Starship Trooper type of character. They had fun doing that. And when they are complaining about the balance changes, their perspective is, you're killing my power fantasy as a Starship Trooper. We want this. And Arrowhead said, no, we're doing it our way. That's up to them. I mean, that's their choice, right? It's similar with like Sea of Thieves recently. Sea of Thieves is definitely a PvP game, right? It's piracy, literally, right? That's what it's designed for. But they've slowly kind of catered to the player base by bringing in private servers lately. So they're kind of like the opposite, right? They built a game with their vision, but they realize there's a segment of players who don't like playing that vision, but like the gameplay mechanics, but want to play a different way. And they're kind of catering to that. I kind of wish Helldivers 2 would ease up and be more on the side of the players for what they're doing. I get why they do what they do, especially when you look at their past games, but it is weird. I was surprised to see it nominated, but the game still gets, I think, at least 30,000 players a day on Steam. Like, it's still a massively powerful, popular game. It still does really well on sales. It's still really well played on PlayStation, and it keeps getting updates, constant updates, right? So I see why it was nominated, but I don't think I would pick this one myself personally, although I can see it winning. And then with Mario Party, this is the first Mario Party in a while that I skipped, mostly because it requires Joy-Cons. The last one, Superstar, even though it was like a remake of minigames, it didn't require Joy-Cons. I could use any old, 8-bit controller I'd kick it around, and I did. And my kids and I had a blast doing that. But going back to the Joy-Cons is a no-sell for me. I'm not touching it. I'm not buying more of those drift magnets. I refuse. So I kind of passed on it for that reason. And yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there's enough innovation to Mario Party. So I think if I were to pick one to win it, even though I've not played it, it'd be Space Marine 2. Only because I think it's meant to be played as a co-op shooter with friends. You can play single player and you have AI squad mates, but I think it's a game that'll be a lot more fun with your friends.
Which would be cool because it's basically like a 40K version of Vermintide, and I love the Vermintide games. Right. So, if real quick, I'm gonna guess that Call of Duty's gonna win it.
I can't. Yeah, it's kind of the Grand Theft Auto thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's in there. Call of Duty Black Ops is Black Ops. The Black Ops version of Call of Duty has typically been very well received and very positive. So I have a hard time believing that Black Ops 6 isn't going to pull away with this one.
Yeah. Like this one's well received this year. I know they've had some misses in the past, but they brought a new movement. I think it's the run anywhere. What they call it? The parkour thing. They've got a new shift of way of moving any direction, which apparently people like, and the multiplayer is pretty solid. So yeah, and even the campaign I heard was decent. So I think I'd agree with you guys. That would probably win. All right.
Yeah, I have no pick. I haven't played any of these. Probably won't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess if I just had to guess wildly, it would be Call of Duty.
Yeah. All right. It is neat to see Tekken 8 here. Tekken 8, I heard, is pretty decent.
Sure.
But a fighting game, I know it's multiplayer technically. Multi being 2, but it's not. I don't think it hangs in this group. I really wish that it would maybe be in the sports category. I think it would fit better in. It's kind of weird that it's a multiplayer, but all right. So next category, I'll read this one.
Best 2-digit number.
Best 2-digit number. Are we gonna skip sports racing?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think any of us. I'm the only sports fan here when GP's not here, and none of these I care about. So we can.
So we're gonna skip that one. Okay. Best sim and strategy game. Game focused on real-time or real turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of platform. So the nominees are Age of Mythologies Retold, Frostpunk 2, oh boy, Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, Manor Lords, and Unicorn Overlord.
Nice.
Have you guys played any of these?
Real quick, I was going to say I've gone through the tutorial on Age of Mythology Retold. It seems all right. I don't know. It's an RTS, but like
it's a remake.
I haven't met but I haven't met an RTS I've really liked in the last, I don't know, 10 years. And it kind of feels, even though it's a remake, it feels, I don't know, that category needs innovation.
Like
So
Age of Kings had a remake, and I like that one a bit. Even going back to the classic RTS era, Age of Kings was the one I really liked in terms of that franchise. Age of Myth is when I fell off the franchise. Just so to see that get a remake now in 2024, I couldn't care less. Like, it's
yeah.
really not my thing. And Manor Lords is in early access, and it's neat
Oh, is it
looking, but
really?
it's barely a game. Like, it's just, I
I
don't
know a
know.
lot of people have been playing the hell out of Manor Lords, so I can
Yeah,
definitely see that being kind of pulling away with this one. I played the original Frostpunk 1. I really like Frostpunk. And I hear good things about Frostpunk 2, but I don't have enough to
same.
like say that, whatever. But if it's anything like Frostpunk 1, I could definitely see it having some fun. There's some really cool aspects. It's hard as hell though. That game is one tough road to hoe, literally, metaphorically and literally. It's a pain in the butt, but it's a beautiful game. It's got great graphics. And I'm assuming that Frostpunk 2 is just kind of more of the same with some added spice to it.
Path of the Goddess is a Capcom game. I've never even heard of this one. I wonder what marketing budget it had, because I did not a peep on this game.
I've heard of Unicorn
So
Overlord.
X2 was playing a lot of Unicorn Overlord for a while. It
Okay.
is basically your RTS. I've rated him a few times and watched him play it for a bit. Not my cup of tea, but it's definitely, if you're into those kind of RTS types games, like like Tactics or any of those types of things, it's kind of up your
Vanillaware has a
over
style of
Tactics.
graphics, and you either love it or hate it. But they have a
It's
really hardcore fan
very.
base.
It feels like it's like 3D cardboard cutouts
Yeah,
fighting, in their thing. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game, but it's just not something that I'm very
yeah.
interested in my own personal.
I don't think I have a
You
horse in
guys know
this
how I feel about
race.
Tactics? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much sums it up. Shrug shoulders. I would say Frostpunk 2 for me. If I had to pick, put a gun to my head, you must play an RTS strategy game, I'd probably play Frostpunk. Otherwise, yeah. Just
yeah,
not, I just
I go with
I
Manor Lords. I know it's early access, but I've seen a lot of people
I'm
really getting into it.
yeah.
I'm excited about Civ, the next Civ. So I mean,
Yes.
but that's next year.
Yeah.
Right. That'll be
That was
on next year's.
a most
Yes.
anticipated game, actually, surprisingly.
Huh.
That's
Yep.
weird. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Let's loop around. Sinistar, you want to read this one?
Yes. Best family nominees are Astrobot, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree again, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire.
So Nintendo and PlayStation.
Yeah. Well, I
yeah, pretty much.
I watched somebody play a bunch of Plucky Squire. It looked entertaining as hell.
Yeah, Murphy was playing it.
It looks really
Yeah.
cool.
Watch him play that,
Yeah.
that looks cool. That
It
like a
looks
neat
like, what was
Um,
that game, Drawsome or whatever, like where, but
Oh,
not quite the same.
Scribble Knots.
Yes, it looks
Hmm.
like
Neat,
Scribble
neat.
Knots, but not quite the same. But
Yeah.
kind of that idea.
Yeah,
Astrobot's supposed to be
for
really cool. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Wolf.
yeah,
Sorry.
for those who are unsure what the Plucky Squire is, it's basically a little action adventure game where you start in like a book, but at some point your little hand-drawn book character comes out and starts running around like the house, and so you're in a 3D world. It looks kind of trippy. It looks
Yeah.
neat. My brother wouldn't stop gushing about it, but then when he was finished, he was like, "It was." He was like, "It
Yeah.
was decent. It was
It's a game.
okay."
That's what I
So,
heard too.
but he
Yeah.
kind of did the same thing with Astrobot. He gushed about it while playing it, but once he was done, he was kind of like, "Yeah, I was ready to be done with it."
Oh, really? Okay. Because like Plucky Squire is the one I was kind of interested in, and then when the reviews started hitting and I actually saw gameplay, it didn't look like there was enough variety there. Not what I was expecting. I was kind of disappointed. I'm glad I didn't buy that one. I ended up going with UFO 50 instead, which was a much better pick for me. Astrobot is the first game in a while where I'm like, I really wish I had a PlayStation. I've seen folks speedrunning the update levels they've been adding lately, and it looks like a total blast. I would love to play it. I wish it would come to PC, but I don't think there's any hope for that one. But I've seen that one get, I think it's 90
Yeah.
on Metacritic right now. It's probably
Right.
one of the best reviewed games of the year. So I mean, if that doesn't win this category, I don't know what else would.
Well,
I might
I'm
have
going
to look into
it.
getting an Astrobot.
I'm going to call it out that I have a feeling Zelda's going to win.
It's
I don't know.
I don't know. I think
it's
Astrobot
kind of
might
bland.
actually pull it.
Yeah,
I regret buying it.
It's the juggernaut called Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
Astrobot
it's the
might win it.
first party Zelda where you play as Zelda, but
But tables,
I don't know
guys.
if I had to,
Table.
if I had to pick one of these that I thought would win and one of these that I wanted to play, I would say Astrobot.
yeah.
I mean, you guys have heard of tunnels, but what about tables?
Let me tell you about the roly-polies, guys. You use the roly-polies as weapons until they stop working, and then you don't know what to do. Echoes of Wisdom, the game became easier when I realized the best way to play is to conjure blocks of water and drown the enemies in the water. It is incredibly dark
Wow.
and cheesy, but that's how you win that game.
I thought that was going a different direction where you're going to say
too.
it got easier when I realized the best way to play was to not play.
Yeah, I was just
That
saying,
too.
just to turn it off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm
I
not
don't know.
going to say
There's
it's a,
something about that feels so much darker than just attacking things with a sword.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Drowning
Yeah.
everything.
yeah. It's
like,
not a
I
bad
am the
game, but it's not a game for
gelatinous
me.
Suffocate, bitches.
Got to find a
All right.
chieftain to get to the next level. That's a Wayne's
All
World
right.
reference. I'm probably the only one that gets that Wayne's World reference. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
All
wasn't
right.
listening, Chard.
That's Tucker.
Next category, Wolf, you want to read this one? Oh, here we go.
Best fighting.
Oh,
Dragon
this
Ball
is
Sparking
this is Jake.
0.
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. Multiverses and Tekken 8. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I opened this page, I was like, there's a Powerpuff Girls fighting game?
So Multiverses is the Warner Brothers game. It's the mascot. It's the platform fighter, like it's Smash clone.
Yeah.
One
And
that
they
I
had
know
Shaggy
that.
on
Once
it.
I
they
read the
released
title,
it
I was like,
and then
oh,
pulled
okay.
it. Well, they released it, then they
Huh.
pulled it to work more on it, and then they re-released it to like no fanfare. I don't think anybody gives a crap about Multiverses.
I want to
No.
call out when I saw this page, I was like, where's the colon and something else on the last two?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
I really like Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising.
Rising?
So don't dish that game. That game is actually really great.
I'm not
And you
dissing
can-
it. I just think
yeah.
it's a funny name. It's just a funny
It's
name.
that's the one that from Arc System Works. Those are the guys who do Guilty Gear Strive, which I like a lot. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is actually a really sweet game from a couple years ago. This is the sequel. They've definitely improved things. I don't think there's enough there for a single player experience, but if you're really into multiplayer, then it's great. The character designs are really cool. There's some unlockable cosmetics that are really neat. It's a pretty solid one. But I mean, for me though, Marvel vs. Capcom, the Fighting Collection. I mean, that's bringing back a game you've been unable to play legally for a decade or more, and it's such a fantastic version of that game. So that for me would take this category.
I'm gonna vote for that one as well. And
I think that
honestly, I feel like it would win this category too.
it's the retro in us that it's like I gotta
Yeah,
go back
that's the
to
one.
that stuff. You know?
That's the one I'm most drawn to. This is another category. I've not played any of these, except for like some of these Capcom fighting games from the past. I would wager that Tekken 8 has a pretty good chance of winning this category. It reviewed really well. It was pretty
Yeah.
successful, as I understand. My brother absolutely loves Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Like, I guess it's a return to form to the old Budokai series
Yeah,
of Dragon Ball,
like
which
100
were
different
like
Gokus.
pretty well regarded as like some badass
Oh,
fighting
Budokai
games,
was
as
great.
well as some of the
Budokai was
best
really good.
Dragon Ball games. So
I like the Budokais because you actually like powered up and could power up into Super Saiyan Goku 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And in later versions, you could just pick that. You pick that I'm gonna
Yeah.
play as Super Saiyan 3. You didn't power up into it. You didn't morph into it. You just picked that player. And I thought that was kind of a chintzy way out of like not adding the cool aspect to it. So like Jake said in the past, don't let Dragon Ball Z fans don't sleep on Dragon Ball Z fans. They will bring
Yeah.
any Dragon Ball Z to the forefront of anything, and it's this one could win by popular vote just because it's
Yeah,
Dragon
that
Ball.
alone,
That's
honestly,
true.
it is super popular, and it kind of frustrates me because the game that came out before this one, Dragon Ball Z Fighters from a few years back, also done by Arc System Works, which was fantastic. That was my kind of fighting game with Dragon Ball Z characters. I like Dragon Ball characters, but I like Arc System Works fighting systems that they do. And then when I saw this one and they went back to Bandai Namco, I lost complete interest. I mean, it's neat to be able to play as 20 different variants of Goku. I don't know who half of them are, but it's neat. But I mean, that's me. But there's millions of Dragon Ball fans who are eating this thing up. Like they're loving this game.
It's a
It's
lot of
very
different hair
popular.
colors.
Yeah,
Just a lot of different hair dye.
all the
It's
shades
just
of
in
yellow.
that picture.
Yes.
We got
true.
blue, green, yellow, black.
Blonde.
all
Dragon
there.
Balls Zero, blue, green, black, sparkling.
Well, 'cause
All the hair
blonde in
colors are
Dragon Ball
here.
is
All your
basically yellow.
favorites. Oh, all right.
All
Guess it's
right.
gold. I don't know.
All right. Next one.
I'll read this one. This one's my
Char, this
wheelhouse.
one's for you.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Best
it is for you.
RPG. Yeah, this one's for me.
Yeah.
Best RPG. Jake's favorite and vote, Dragon Dogma 2. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, another winner in this dais. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantazio.
Well, I know Metaphor ReFantazio like scored ridiculously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got huge love given to Metaphor ReFantazio. It's a like a Persona-esque. It's from the people that did Persona, so it's Atlas and
Yeah.
Sega. It's that Persona-esque type kind of graphics and fighting style, and it's huge. It's been extremely well received by that group of people, and scored very well with the critics. Of course, I'm going to go with Erd Tree because it's a great RPG. I know it's DLC. I don't give a shit. It was its own. You could slap a different name on that, take Elden Ring out, just call it Shadow of the Erd Tree, and it would stand alone, in my opinion, just as well as a FromSoft game.
I'm gonna
yeah.
join you on the vote there. I'm gonna join you on the vote for that one. I really kind of feel like Final Fantasy is gonna win this category.
I don't
you
know.
Once
I
again,
wouldn't
it's the
sleep on
Middle
juggernaut.
game in a trilogy? You think so?
I
It's
wouldn't
the
sleep on
juggernaut
Metaphor.
called Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy VII, no less.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
With Erd Tree being in there too, though, I mean, unless everybody's if people are serious, I mean, they're pissed off. I know they're pissed off. So, but if people are gonna not vote for best RPG in this category just because it's a DLC, that's silly. That's silly because it's still a good RPG.
But
It's
it
just
does
an
give
expansion.
Final Fantasy VII the edge.
It
Fair.
does.
That's
It
a
does.
fair argument.
yeah.
I hope 7 doesn't win because that is bullshit. I hope if Erd Tree doesn't win this one, I hope it's Metaphor ReFantazio, honestly.
So here's the thing with
that
the
one
with the
should
ju- with the judging and the who selects the winners. There is fan voting, but I think it's 10% of the total score.
Mm.
The other 90% is games media outlets. So your IGN, Polygon, I think Giant Bomb's there. There's those kind of folks. So yeah, I guess it's games critics who are the ones voting for it. And if I look at them, I could see them going for Metaphor Fantasio. That's the one I
Yeah.
kind of want to play. I was going to pass on it, but the style in that game it's really something to see.
I want to play it
No,
too
it's-
when I have 180 hours.
I'm mildly interested.
Yes.
I
do
bet
wanna
it plays
s-
great on the Steam Deck, which is a good okay,
Yeah,
I've
right.
got a few minutes to throw down some hours on this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I got to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't think it should be here. Not to be a dick, but there's a game that came out, Dragon's Age Inquisition. Ooh, Dragon's Age Veilguard. I'm not saying it would win, but I think it's a far better game than Dragon's Dogma 2, having played both of them now. Dragon's Dogma 2, the story is very bland, doesn't go anywhere. The combat is fun and interesting, but there's such a lack of like enemy variety. I bounced so hard off of that game. It is not
You
as
were
good
game
as
of the
the
year
first
of that
game.
for like the week. that
You
it
were
came
for the
out.
whole
like,
week.
Yeah.
As soon
Yeah.
as you bought it, you were like, "Game of the year, guys!" And then you're like, "I'm tired of jumping on ogres."
And until
Is
you guys don't
there
buy
a-
it.
Is there a cutoff for when these games were picked? Because remember that Veilguard came out late in the year. It was I think it was actually Halloween that it came
I
out?
think the
What
cutoff
came
is
out?
is November, end of November.
Okay.
No, it'd have to
I
be
mean,
early
Yeah,
November. It'd
it
have
would
to be
have
the
to be,
start of November,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
we
you're
had
right.
this discussion, Jake. I think I don't know
With
if it was
Alan Wake
2 years
last year.
ago. It was Alan
Yeah.
Wake or something that came out super quick, and I'm a Alan Wake homer, so of course I was all about it. But it's not. I don't think it's fair to put something like best of that's only been out a month. I don't think that's but that's just me.
I mean,
I'm all about that.
that's my thought on why Veilguard wouldn't be on this list. Is
Mhm.
it didn't make the cutoff?
Right. I can see that. It'll probably be in next year's. And then you got to think about that. I know why they do that is because
Yeah.
can you imagine thinking of all the games that came out this year
Right.
and then putting them into a category next year? You forget them. There'd be stuff that would be completely under the radar
Yeah.
that should have been selected.
That does pose an interesting question, though. What is their cutoff? Because Alan Wake came out October 27th last year.
I'm trying
I
and
to
gotta
figure it out.
wonder if
Veilguard,
it's
Veilguard came out the 31st this year.
Okay.
yeah.
So
I
this
gotta
is
I have the
wonder
4
cutoff
days
date.
apart.
It's November 22nd. So the game that comes out
November-
publicly before November 22nd can be included. So Veilguard
That's
could have been
today.
included.
That is
Well,
today. Right now
What?
is the cutoff.
Yeah, how do you
So a game could have came out yesterday and it could have been put into a best something
So-
category.
how
But
are
again,
you gonna announce
Ridiculous.
So critics, right? Games critics get access to games ahead of time but they're under embargo and they can't talk about it publicly, but they get to play games in advance. So that's probably what it is. But yeah, it says November 22nd, a date that was still several days away by the time the nominations were announced on Monday, are eligible for nominations this year. That's what Kotaku says.
well,
I'm in the wrong business, boys.
that's
But-
I'm just gonna say that's fucking great.
I'm not saying it would win, but I think Veilguard
Yeah.
deserves to be on this list over Dragon's Dogma 2. That's just me personally.
I could agree with that.
But I'll go with you, Chard. I think Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, I think for me personally is what I would pick to win, just for a bunch of reasons I'll get to later categories, but I think it's the better one. Although if I had played Metaphor Refantasio, I think I would enjoy it, but I like Cesar
That's
said,
fair.
I don't have 180 hours to play this thing.
And I'd like to look at this list here. Let's look at the 5 games that we have on here and be honest. We have Dragon's Dogma 2. We have Shadow of the Erdtree, which is basically Elden Ring 2. We have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second in a 3-game series.
Final
Like a
Fantasy VII
dragon.
Remake 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is number 2. And you have
Yakuza 8.
Metaphor Refantasio that is like
Oh,
its
it's funny.
own beast, its own thing thrown in here.
Yeah, it's the
So-
only original.
It's exactly. It's the only thing that isn't
Although-
spawning from something.
Although let's be honest, that's like basically Persona 6 or whatever they're
yeah,
up to.
but it's not Persona
Unrelated story and
Metaphor
characters and stuff.
Refantasio, right? It's
Sure,
its
sure, sure.
own shit. So there's
I don't
a
know.
lot
I
of
would like to
sequels
see-
in this department that I'm taking umbrage with.
I would like to see if Erdtree doesn't win, I'd like to see Refantasio win.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm
But
on
I
that
feel like the juggernaut that is called Final Fantasy is hard to beat. I mean, that
I
thing got
think-
like a 95 on Metacritic this year.
You're not wrong.
Let me-
It's true.
I think we think Final Fantasy carries more weight than it actually does.
It's just that it didn't come out on
No, I
PC.
feel
It
like
only came out
carries
on
more weight
PlayStation,
than
right?
I think it should.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think this is hit PC yet. No, it's only been on PlayStation.
So that limits the people who played it, and that's why I think it might get hurt in terms of. I don't know.
Agreed.
It did review really well. You are right.
It got
I
like
mean,
a
yeah, it-
95, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Stupid game.
Believe me,
Alright.
I know.
I know
Yes.
you know.
Freaking guy
Cheater.
ran away at the Fantasy Critic. It's okay. It's okay. I still have 3 games that haven't come out yet. I still got a shot. I got 30 days
Yeah.
left.
Sure you do.
Stars.
All right.
Sinistar's the guy that lets the computer pick his draft picks in fantasy football. It doesn't change his lineup and still wins.
I changed one lineup.
Oh, boy. All right. Let me do this
I had
one.
Path of Exile 2. I changed that.
Best action/adventure game, which I got to read
Oh,
the
yay.
definition because this gets weird. For the best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving.
My game's
It's
in
like
here.
it's a
I
bizarre
haven't
one.
watched
The
this
nominees are Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star
right.
Wars Outlaws, and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. This category never made sense to me, but I before you guys talk, I gotta say Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown came out at the beginning of the year. That game is freaking awesome. I hope it wins. I hope it wins, and then people can shove it in the face of Ubisoft, because Ubisoft dismantled that team that made the game this year. They released a DLC that was very well reviewed and liked, and they killed off the team. They didn't lay anybody off, as far as I know, but they dismantled the team and sent them off to work on whatever open world bullshit they're going to do next. But it's a fantastic Metroidvania game, one of the best in the genre if you haven't played it yet. It's great. But I think because it was at the beginning of the year, this is one where I feel like we said before, may not get people remembering how good it was because it's so late in the year now. But that'd be my pick.
I would pick Silent Hill 2. I mean, they knocked that one out of the park. They did it so well that I would qualify it as a new game that's basically a retelling of the story. I haven't played any of the others. Another Star Wars, yay! It's another Star Wars. I love the Prince of Persia games from front to back. I need to play that one. I don't have a PS5. And
It's
of
on
course
Steam.
we've talked
It's
about
on PC. It's on
It's
Steam.
on Steam, and it's on Steam now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so Astrobot's on Steam?
No,
No.
Prince of Persia.
Oh
Prince of
no, I'm
Persia.
talking Astrobot. I don't have a PS5.
Oh, no.
All right. listen.
And then Echoes of Wisdom. We've already talked about that one.
Yeah.
Go drown your frenemies.
Frenemies. Wow.
Silent Hill 2 did look pretty sweet. I just action adventure. I mean,
There's
there's no
action,
best
and
horror
it's you're
category,
adventuring, and you're solving puzzles. There's a lot of puzzles in the game.
It is action puzzles. It is actual action puzzles.
I feel this definitely fits in a traversal puzzle solving kind of format.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, if you liken it to like Last of Us would have fit into this category, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I bet you could put Last of Us into a best action adventure kind of game for sure. I've already gushed incessantly about Silent Hill 2. It's one of the few games this year that's come out that I was excited to play. And when I started it up, I was absolutely fell in love with this game. Bloober Team just knocked this game, as Sinistar said, right out of the park. This was beautiful from front to back. The story was spectacular. The things that the holes that they filled in for the original just absolutely made this good. I would have, if I wasn't streaming other things, I would have fired this thing up right after it. This is one of the best games I've played all year. I have to say Silent Hill for sure.
That said, from what I've read and heard, I think Astrobot is a high contender for this one as far as actual win.
If not a game of the year contender, I think this is a category that it would probably fit really well into. Yeah.
I love
Wolf, what do you think?
God, I love the game.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I really want to play Silent Hill 2. I also would be interested in playing Astrobot again. I also don't have a way to play it. If it came to PC at some point, absolutely, I'd play it.
Come
but
over.
for me personally, the one I want to play most is Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
Thought you had Silent Hill 2, didn't you? Weren't you playing Silent Hill 2 not too long ago?
Yeah, I haven't played it yet though.
Okay, I thought I saw you fired
I
up.
played it for like 45 minutes. That doesn't count.
No, that doesn't.
I feel like I need to go back a second because I probably just dropped like half of our viewership. Star Wars is fine.
Outlaws didn't do that
No,
great. I mean, it did okay.
No,
I think
7
it's
out of
fair.
10, I think.
Star Wars fatigue is a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want Knights of the Old Republic. Give me Jedi's back. I want more of that. What's his face? Cal Kestis.
Yeah, the one
from
with the little bot on his shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Those games are great. I want more of those.
What? Don't at me though, YouTube. Don't at me.
I think what happened with Star Wars is Mandalorian did so well that they're like, yeah, lean into the space western.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a bad idea.
But it's John Favreau space western. Like I mean, the man is doing the work. That guy's amazing in pretty much all the stuff he puts his hands on, and then everybody else is like, "Oh, just follow Favreau's fucking while he does stuff," and they just didn't. It didn't translate well. You can't translate. Sorry. Happy does good work in front of the camera and behind it. He does great work.
Yes.
All right. We should move on. Who's next up?
I'll do best action unless Sinistar, you want to do it?
I thought.
I think I'm up.
Okay.
All right. Best action game. For the best game in the action genre, folks, it's primarily on combat. The nominees are Black Myth Wukong. That's Chart's vote.
No.
Call of
it's
Duty
not,
Black Ops 6.
actually.
Helldivers 2. Stellar Blade. Or
That's Chart's vote.
Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
Yep. Yep.
I listen to
have,
Charm sometimes.
You do. You're smart. I
At least somebody
all-
does.
yeah. I am all in on Black Myth. I really want to play it. I haven't had a chance to because I'm like Sinistar and I'm in cheap mode, so I have to hold off on it.
Well,
But
did you buy Dragon Warrior 3 or what the hell it was?
no,
did.
it was gifted to me.
He did not.
Okay.
It was
Oh,
gifted
okay.
to me. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
I
did
thought you
not
picked
purchase
it up.
No, I had
Okay.
talked about it. I was like, I can't imagine spending $60 on a game, a remaster, and then it was like boop.
And
And
then
Vaughn Beardsley, sugar daddy
our
Vaun,
sugar daddy, our sugar
was like,
daddy.
here, Merry Christmas. And I was like, well, fuck, all right, cool.
Vaughn, we love you.
Yes, we do very
Yes.
much. No, I really want to play Black Myth. It's still on my list, and it's been a running joke in this house and in this podcast that I'm gonna just buy it one of these days. And everybody's like, you can't afford it right now. And I go, I don't care. I'm gonna do it. Nobody tells me what to do. I still haven't bought it yet. But
Huge willpower
within-
for sure.
Yeah.
I've had very good willpower. 248 pounds later. But out of this 5, I have recently started playing this game, Stellar Blade, that I got for my birthday in April. I've had it for this long. And some point I thought to myself, I need to bring the PS5 downstairs so I can actually, play it, because it's hard to do that in my office with everything else I got going on. And the other day I was playing it. I was like, I don't want to play something that's difficult. I'm not in the mood for like a Soulsy kind of game. But then I beat, what did I beat? I beat Spider-Man 2, and I went, I haven't started this yet. Let's just dive in. It's supposed to be like Nier Automata. It's got the same kind of feel to it. And I'll tell you what, boys, this game is awesome. This game is super fun. It seemed very repetitive at first. The world that you kind of get into, I'm not a fan of the character design people, like
Yeah.
their voices and stuff it's very RPG, it's very Japanese RPG, JRPG kind of style.
It's anime, I think. It's peak
yeah,
anime.
it's very anime style. And
Yeah.
I can only stomach so much anime for so long until I'm like, all right, let's not talk like that anymore. And there's a whole vast area that you're running around in the desert, and it seemed kind of repetitive. But there's a section where you go into like a dungeon essentially, and you can't use your sword, but you have your drone that turns into a gun. And now you have a different weapon and a different way of taking these things on. And it almost turned into like a horror game for like that moment, because it was dark, it was gritty, things were jumping out at me, things were sneaking up behind me and exploding on me. And it's like chaos, but in a good way.
It took a page from Half-Life, right? Where like
Essentially,
Half-Life 2,
yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
goes to Ravenholm, and all of a sudden
Very
you're in a fucking
Ravenholm.
horror,
Yeah.
horror game. You're like, what the fuck did I buy?
And the story, which I thought was pretty like meh, started getting like, oh,
really?
there's a really
Okay.
cool twist to this. Okay. So I'm all in on Stellar Blade. I'm really impressed with what I haven't finished it, but with the area that I literally just got out of this week, I was like, this is starting to pick up, like to the point of where I'm almost willing to pull the PlayStation back into my office and stream this game, because it's been a lot of fun to play so far. But it is like the anime discussion. If you're into that, cool, that's awesome. It rubs on me the wrong way after so much. But the action's great. The characters are cool. It is a waifu simulator. I don't care what anybody says. The costume designs are for a certain type of audience.
I was gonna say, for anybody who hasn't looked at the 2B update with comes with the photo mode. Well, boy, they do know their audience, and that's one hell of a take on 2B, or less of a take, I guess.
It's a thirst trap game, but it's a thirst trap hidden in a really well-rounded action adventure game with actually a pretty good story in there. I'm really impressed with
I'm
it.
glad the story is good, because I wasn't sure about that part. Like, I don't mind a mindless action game. It's just the character designs were kind of like, like you said, waifu simulator, which is fine. I mean, to each their own. But if the story wasn't there, I wasn't going to bother with it, because it's coming to PC at some point. So if the story is
I'd
decent, I
recommend
might
it.
check it out.
If
Yeah.
you like Nier, like if you are interested in the Nier
Yeah.
Automatic series, because Nier has so many layers to it that when you beat the game with 2B, you're like, okay. And then they're like, oh no, play it now. You get to play it with this character and their perspective, and it shows you another side. And the game just kind of unravels as you continue playing and see different things. And I'm seeing that in a more direct way in Stellar Blade than how Nier did it. Because Nier fell short when you played it with just 2B, but then you get to play it with another character. You will all unlock the other characters, but it's not like a bonus material. Like now you get to play as 9S and do his things. It's his side of the story. There's more to it as it dives deeper into the game. And I'm getting a lot of really cool vibes out of Stellar Blade. So
All right.
costumes aside, Stellar Blade is definitely right now, for my money, is best action in this category, only because I haven't played Black Myth yet. That's the only reason.
And I don't really have a vote. I mean, obviously, I will play Space Marine 2 as much as I love the first game. That of all of these on the list, that's the one I want to play. As far as what's going to win, I think there's the juggernaut of Call of Duty on this list.
Black Myth could win it too. It's got some really.
Sure.
It's been reviewed
Yeah,
very
maybe.
well, and it's a soulsy enough game that I could see it kind of taking this one. So it's beautiful.
The thing with
That game
Wukong is it's mostly like it feels like a boss rush type of game where the focus is the boss fights, which is fine, but like the open world is very vast, but I heard that there's not a whole lot of stuff in it. It's not Elden Ring where you explore things really. There's not much there. I think this one, if it gets picked on graphics, I think it belongs there, but action game, I could see it too. I think for me personally, I would also pick Space Marine Sinistar. That's the game I actually want to play. I've almost picked it up, but I'm like, I'll wait for a sale. But
Yeah.
I think as an action game, it looks pretty good. The graphics are amazing. The amount of stuff on the screen, the action. I'm not even a Warhammer guy, but I still get the lore videos on TikTok occasionally, and I find them interesting. So I would play Warhammer.
Jake
the
hides
first
in his basement painting his little figurine, his little pewter pieces.
Honestly, if you have a chance at some point, play the first one. It is honestly, it is one of the. It is. I was laughing. I was charging through the whole thing. It is just because I mean, you're just like the way in the first one, the way that you get health back is you have to do the ultra kills. And so
Okay.
you've got like the chain sword, and you're just like sawing a guy through half of his body, and you're just laughing the whole time. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Wolf, any picks for you in this one?
No, again, it's another category. I've not played any of these, but my friend recommended Stellar Blade, so maybe that one.
Okay.
Hopefully that
the one
friend
I'd probably
is me.
try playing. No, my buddy played it
Okay.
basically the first month it came out, and he kept being like, "It's really good. It's really good." So
Nothing like getting let down on your own podcast.
well, I have a standing game night with him
Hopefully
most
that
Thursdays.
friend is me. No, absolutely not. No, I take
No,
on.
but I
bridge
know
with
you
our friends.
recommend it too. But I got a good friend who I've known since high school that we talk.
All
to
of
each
We
other
can only listen
all
so
the
much
time.
to Chart, okay? We can only listen
All
so
of it.
much.
All of a
Wow.
sudden, Wolf pulls out the, who are you?
Who are you? Yeah.
All right.
His friend Rob. I've mentioned him on the podcast before.
Yeah.
All right. Next category. Wolf, you want to read this one?
All right. Best VR/AR. Wow. All right. Arizona Sunshine remake. It got a remake?
What?
Got a remake?
A VR one. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, Arizona Sunshine
Asgard's
was
Wrath.
a VR game.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Asgard's Wrath 2. No idea. Batman Arkham Shadow. Metal Hellsinger VR. Metro Awakening. I feel like a lot of games in the VR category these days are just like, let's take a really good selling game that was not VR and make it
And make it
VR.
VR. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much how that works.
Seeing Arkham up here hurts. I want another Arkham game to be so good. And when I heard they're making a new one, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And then it's VR. Like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I could honestly, I now that I have a house with space, I may get my VR stuff set up again.
It's fun, right? It's fun having
Oh.
a room with
Oh,
space
yeah.
now, right?
Yeah. But and of all, I played Arizona Sunshine. It was entertaining for a while, but like most VR games, you're like, okay, what else
Yeah.
is there, right? Of all of these, I mean, the Metro games are legit, and so a VR Metro would be terrifying.
Yeah. I've been awfully close to trying. I was going to pick up Metro Awakening until my wife told me that wouldn't be a financially good decision for my life. So I decided not to. But the videos that I saw, because I love Metro. Sinistar and I both talk a lot about the Metro stuff. And there's some really cool things about taking the mask off and doing the aspects of having it actually be on you. The reviews that I read people weren't super happy with it, but it's Metro. It's in the Metro universe in VR. I think that would be a really cool thing. So I would vote Metro out of all of these guys. Metal Hellsinger might be interesting because that's got to be that musically timed, right? The timing.
Yeah.
First
Where
person
if you do the shots in time, you do better and you get kill counters and stuff. It was a non-VR release, I think, the year before it didn't review so well, but it looked really interesting. I wanted that one to do well.
We played it a little bit of it and we talked about it in a previous episode, but
I think so.
I think that'd be kind of neat to see that in VR. That was kind of an interesting game. So,
all right. Next category.
Oh shit!
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Mobile game.
Well,
mobile, right? Is it mobile?
Yes.
Yeah, mobile. It's going to turn up in another category. I warn you now.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. It's going to
indie categories, but
it's definitely going to get my vote on here. But
so, Chard, read off the nominees before we start talking.
Yeah, for the best game playable on your mobile device, AFK Journey,
a game that encourages not playing it.
Yeah, Balatro,
yeah,
or as we like to call it here at Press B to Cancel, Crack. Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, Wuthering Waves, not Wuthering Heights, different book, and Zenless Zone Zero.
I mean, that's an alliterative right there. Zenless Zone Zero.
It is.
Well, we know how that one was one of my picks. It didn't do that great, so I don't think that one's winning.
That's from the studio that did Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, I believe, right?
I thought it would do better because Genshin and Honkai did well, and then they let me down.
And the Pokemon trading card game is literally Pokemon the card game, and it's doing gangbusters right now. It's doing incredibly well. It's very popular.
I was gonna say, like, there's a juggernaut on this list.
That's Pokemon.
Yeah.
And there's a juggernaut called Pokemon. My vote is obviously Balatro. Now, I have not played it on a mobile. I've only played it, on a handheld. Does that count?
I guess that's mobile. Yeah. That's technically mobile.
Yeah.
It's not your mobile, but it's mobile.
It's mobile.
Not this.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, it's going to be hard to have Balatro on a list and me not say that's the one I'm voting for.
Oh yeah, I think that's going to be a unanimous selection from all of us.
Holy, my pick right there, Balatro.
Yeah.
Like, even if what I'm looking at here, that's the one I want to play most. And I have some interest in Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, but I'm sure it's got like microtransactions of some sort or like purchase booster packs. I don't know, but I'm not into that. I stay away from I spent my money on booster packs in that game years ago when it came out in like 1999. I'm not doing it again.
I don't know. Balatro was the game that ruined my sex life at the start of the year. And then when the mobile version came out, I got my wife into it because she's always playing mobile games that drive me nuts, these AFK things. So I'm here, play a real game, sit down and play Balatro. And she didn't want to because she doesn't have any interest in poker. But once I explained how you play and she got into it, I think she's hit 40 hours on the mobile version. She's always playing Balatro, always got Balatro open. Cooking, on the toilet, freaking out of the shower, in bed. My sex life is ruined again for at least the next 3 months. I mean, I'm in my 40s. I don't care anymore.
No, you just have to
I lost my wife to Balatro. I'm getting divorced.
You just have to figure out how to make yourself into a Joker card, my friend.
Yeah.
Some little cosplay. Yeah. Balatro. How can you not pick Balatro? I mean, You know who the only people who don't pick Balatro for this category are the people who have not played Balatro, because they look at that game
Yeah.
and they're like, I'm not paying $13 for a mobile game,
Oh,
and
it's so good,
they
though.
should. This is one of the
It's
few
so good.
exceptions I would pay money for a mobile game.
I have purposely not purchased it for my phone so that I can't sit and play it on my phone.
Right.
Yep.
It's
I
a
need to be tethered
perfect
to my Steam Deck.
recreation of the
I
original.
have
It's flawless.
I have like $22 of Play Store credit just sitting there being like, you could buy Balatro. And I'm like, I really don't want to. It's a bad idea.
Wolf downloads the game. He's like, stick it in my veins.
Yeah.
Fucking Balatro, man. Give it the Balatro bump.
Yeah,
Yep.
but honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a juggernaut on this that's hard to beat.
I think if you look at it from the games critics' perspective of what they would vote for, they also like Balatro a lot. From what I remember, it reviewed so well, and it was. I could see it going there, but again, Wolf said it is elsewhere in another category, so I'll hold some comments on Balatro for later. But I think that's got to be a strong one.
Yeah, 100%. 100% selection from Press B to Balatro.
Oh, huge! Yeah,
It's
Right.
literally on our next category.
Yeah.
which is best debut indie game. The best debut game created by a new independent studio. Nominees are Animal Well, Balatro,
Okay, good.
Manor Lords, words are hard, Pacific Drive, and The Plucky Squire. First off, I'm going to say Manor Lords, early access, can fuck right off. Even though I want to buy it at some point, I'll wait till it's done. Animal Well is good. I liked it a lot, and I think that would have been my pick normally. But again, I can't see myself picking anything besides Balatro just for the sheer number of hours I put into this goddamn game. But that's just me.
I watched a little bit of Pacific Drive. That game does look entertaining.
It
Wolf
looks
had a
really
You played it,
interesting.
right? Yeah.
I know. I wanted to play it. I was really
you did
excited
play it.
about it. And then I tried the demo when the demo came out.
Right.
And it takes so long to get into it, and you can't save in the middle of a run, which
That's right.
includes the tutorial section, apparently. And so it had so much potential, but they decided, I'm guessing for budget reasons early on, that they were just going to keep the saves limited to between chapters or episodes or stages, whatever you want to call them. And so that was a huge hindrance for it. And I was not nearly alone in that being an issue. But it also kind of was a letdown. Like, it only got like a 77 or something. So
Which is
in
not
that
bad.
regards, it was a bit of a letdown too. It's not bad, especially for a debut indie game. But I
Yeah.
was expecting like a 90 out of this thing. It looked rad as hell. The conceit was really cool, but it just didn't get there. So I don't know if you guys remember how much I hated Animal Well.
Yeah, you were
Yes.
very adamant about how much you did
It's-
like Animal Well.
I'm sad that
I
you didn't
res-
like it though. But yeah, go ahead.
I can see why people liked it. It just really did not click with me. It was frustrating to me. My brother just started playing it and was gushing about it. Literally talked
good.
to him yesterday, and he started
Yeah.
going on and on about it.
Till he
And then after
finished
he
his
did it,
save.
I shat all over it.
Oh, so you gave it the Super Mario RPG treatment.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
The 4 chords of sound.
But-
Let's go.
But then he was like, he started to like kind of backtrack. I was like, dude, you don't have to backtrack. If you like it, you like it. That's fair.
Yeah, like
He's
you
not
said.
alone. Lots
Just
of people like
because
this one.
it's not for me doesn't mean it's not for everybody else. Like, this was just, I think I expected something a little different than it was, and so it was just not my expectations. On this one, I'm all in on Balatro. It's that simple.
Hell yeah.
And I
Balatro
think
is
that's
amazing
the
game.
one that's going to take it.
Yeah,
it should. Out of this setup, it should. Absolutely.
I think it would be hard to beat Balatro in this category.
I'm
I
so
will say
happy to
about
see it
Animal
here.
Well, the developer who made that, Balatro and Animal Well, both made by one person. And the guy who made Animal Well, I can't wait to see what he does next. He's one of those. This is one of those situations. I
Yeah.
liked Animal Well so much. I'm really looking forward to what he does in the future. He's one to watch. But it's also the same thing with Balatro. I don't know what the hell the guy's going to do to beat top Balatro, but I'm looking forward to what Local Thunk does there as well.
It's gonna have some glitchy checker game. Sold.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
it's gonna be checkers, but you actually don't want to play checkers. Like, you don't actually want to play poker in Balatro.
You got to call it
King
checkers
me.
2.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Our next category is gonna have some
Sinistar, you read
division
this
in
one.
it.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Best independent game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. The nominees are Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva or Neva or
Never.
something, and UFO 50.
It's not fair.
Jake's Game
Yeah,
of the
I
Year.
told you. Jake's gonna have a problem with this one. His
I'm not.
loyalty calls for one, but his heart says another. And I get it. Not for me though. I'm going Balatro. I'm all in on
Yeah.
that card game. Yeah,
As cool as I think UFO 50 is, and it was pretty fucking rad.
it was red.
Balatro.
Yep. Balatro. We're all pronouncing it differently. We're all gonna get called out for it.
You guys didn't play enough UFO 50.
I played the shit out of UFO 50.
I know.
Don't call
Let
me.
me check my hours count. Hold on.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
Look,
hold on.
I'm
See if we
voting
didn't play
for
enough.
Dragon Ball's Latro.
Balatro, Dragon Ball
Like-
Balatro sparkling.
Yeah.
I stopped talking about it, but I was literally playing Bushido Ball last night trying to get the cherry trophy on it. Like, I still play UFO 50 between other games all the damn time. Like, it's the perfect Steam Deck game.
What does Jake always say?
I love
have 15
Balatro.
hours in UFO 50. I think that makes me infinitely qualified to discuss whether I
Yeah,
like it.
then it should be your game of the year like
I
me.
apparently have 53 hours in UFO 50.
It's funny that I'm fighting this hard for it, and you guys have more hours in UFO 50 than I do. That's funny.
Look, it doesn't actually unlock until 150 hours. So
Yeah.
It's because
I'm just gonna say that
Wolf know the end of the road.
I'm gonna say UFO 50. There's a lot of cool stuff hidden behind the scenes that is really neat. I love how its origins of game jams and that culture from indie games developers, right? Derek, I love a lot of his stuff, like a Splunky guy. I love UFO 50. I think I like everything that it represents as an idea. I wish it would get a sequel at some point for 16-bit games. I don't see that ever
UFO
happening though. I think
51.
this is just a one-off, but I love it. There's no way it wins. I would love it to, but there's no way it wins, and that makes me sad.
Can 50 games be game of the year?
I mean, if Elden Ring Erd Tree can be considered a game, then yes, 50 games in one can count.
I think it's hard to beat Balatro in this list or
Yeah.
Balatro.
Yeah, same.
Balatro is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
All right. Next game, Wolf, or next category.
Best community support. So, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates / patches. Okay, so we got Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky is still on the list.
How the
But-
fuck did that get
but-
here?
But No Man's
Every
Sky
year.
is like,
makes sense.
yeah. I think that's why they
does.
made this category to put No Man's Sky, so it might win
Yeah.
something.
The No Man's Sky of the Year award
Yeah.
goes to No Man's Sky.
This is like
Yeah.
Frasier constantly going to the radio awards and never winning, and then they were like, we're gonna put something best psychiatrist. You're the only one. You get it. Like, it makes sense. No Man's Sky has to win this one. It is clearly. It's been the long-standing. It's been shit to glory. The only thing that can rival that, in my opinion, is Final Fantasy 14 out of this entire thing.
I was gonna say there's a competition, and that's Final Fantasy 14.
Look, it's the same argument every year. Both those games get nominated in this category every fucking year. It's the same fight, right? Like, both of them have won it at one point or another. It's getting stupid now. Like, this is the category. This is the, hey, the game was broke at launch, but we liked it, so fix your shit, and they did. That's what the award is for. Like, Baldur's Gate 3
Did a good job
for me
You
was
win an
literally
award for doing
unplayable
a
in Act
good job
3.
later.
Well, I have 100 plus
I don't-
hours in Baldur's Gate 3, and then I didn't finish it because of Act 3 issues, and they've since patched it. Great. Hopefully I go back to it, but I'm going to have to start over again, which I don't want to do. For me, this category is probably going to go, I would say, Helldivers 2. If anything it's been nominated for, this is the one that highlights, hey, they broke it, they made good, they broke it again, but they kind of fixed it lately, and people seem happy with it, and it's back above
Eh,
30K a day
I don't know.
players. So I think it goes to Helldivers 2. But I'm pissed that this category is still existing.
I don't know why Baldur's Gate would be in this. To be honest,
What
with
were
you.
you gonna say,
because they
Wolf?
do a lot of patches and updates.
Well, they did. They did 7 patches, 7 big updates for that game to fix the issues that they should have never had in the beginning in the first place.
Final
But they've
Fantasy
also
IX gets
they
patches and
also
updates still. I mean,
didn't they actually fix somebody's save file because they were like
I think
200
so.
hours into the game or some nonsense, and
That's not
the
a
file
one-off either.
corrupted, and they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're like, okay, send it to us, we'll try to fix it. Like that's really cool.
that's
So
Larian though. I don't
that's
know.
very different from what we think of as community support. Like they're actually like,
Oh
your
yeah.
game's screwed.
Yeah.
Okay, we will support this. Like here, let's help you.
Yeah.
Like that's
No
super
Man's Sky,
cool. So I
right?
could see Baldur's Gate 3 getting that.
And I'd be fine with that. It just
Yeah.
seems weird to have that title on this
I just
And
best community thing.
honestly, I just hope Fortnite doesn't win. That's where I'm at.
yeah, well,
fair.
and my argument for this category is, let's take a look at a game that has continued to give you just gargantuan amounts of content and hasn't charged you an additional dime.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's No
I
Man.
mean,
or
that's No
100%.
Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, honestly, any one of these patches could be DLC that's charged DLC.
Yeah.
Easily.
And no, they're like, hey, we're dropping. Guess what? Now you can have a frigate that does this thing that's amazing and awesome.
So
And you're
does
like,
that
yeah.
make No Man's Sky eligible for Game of the Year?
well, I don't know about
mean,
Game of
Or
the
is it
Year,
because
but-
it's not paid?
Well, the DLC is
that-
not big enough
that-
on its own to be a separate game, but it definitely expands the game for sure. They're all big DLCs, but they're not like
Well,
Erd Tree DLC.
I think the argument is, what's the definition of community support? Is community support fixing save games? Abso-fucking-lutely, give it to Baldur's Gate 3. Is community support like continually giving somebody that bought the game once like the best experience? That's No Man's Sky, right? I mean,
Right.
You know what
It's
team
almost
would
like how-
never win this? Team Cherry.
Yeah. It's almost like Hello Games feels so bad about what they released to begin this whole fucking thing that they're just like, listen, just have all our shit, please. We're so sorry. Just have everything we have. We're just gonna keep giving it to you because we fucked up bad. Like we really.
We're all at the
screwed
point.
this.
Anybody who likes No Man's Sky at this point is pretty much at some point one or another said, "Hey, just you're good. We're fine. Go
Yeah,
make your next
stop.
game. We're waiting for
Yeah.
Light No Fire. We want to see the next game.
yeah.
We're good
Yeah.
on No Man's Sky. It's perfect. Don't worry about it. Leave it alone."
I wonder if they're just gonna
We love you,
maintain
you're
support for
forgiven.
10 straight years and then drop it.
Right.
I don't know. They dropped a preview trailer a couple years ago, and I thought it was soon, but I don't know how long it's going to be in development for. But I do know that a lot of the work they do on No Man's Sky is done because it's work that's being done on Light No Fire. It's work that's being shared across because there's similarities in the back end of the two games. Even though they're very different games and they're separate, a lot of the systems are the same. Like they added fishing to No Man's Sky because fishing will be part of Light No Fire. So that's why it's getting some of the updates. But yeah.
It's like they're testing it there to make sure they
Yes.
don't fuck it up the next time. They will not make a repeat of No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Who read that one? Wolf, you read that one?
That was
That was me.
that was,
Okay.
yeah, well,
Chard, next
So
one.
Chard.
shit.
Very similar name.
Yeah. Very similar list.
Best ongoing. Awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. No Man's Sky should be in this. This is
Yeah,
where
why
No Man's
isn't-
Sky should be. This is horseshit, but whatever. Okay, so the nominees are, I want to go on a tangent. Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2. Final Fantasy 14 is getting my vote in this. But
A
lot of
very
these are
good
just-
question. A very good
Yeah.
question from chat. Why isn't Stardew on this list?
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one.
I mean, that's a huge game. I don't know. I don't like anything on this list
Yeah.
except for Final Fantasy 14.
Can
A
I
lot of
talk
these
about
games are
Fortnite
like
for a
the-
second? Because I played some
Sure.
of that this year. And
Bring it.
I think it deserves to be nominated this year, but not win. So this year they added a few different modes to Fortnite. They added rocket racing, which is one of them, along with a music mini game thing and a Lego survival thing. And it's all built around the Fortnite engine type of thing. Rocket Racing's neat. I like it a lot, but they've kind of abandoned it from the last time I tried it. Like they haven't really added anything new to it. Like the bones of it were really great, but because it didn't do well enough with the player base, it's still there, but I don't think it's going to get much support. I feel like it's been abandoned. And for that, I'm kind of upset about it. So, but I think it deserves to be nominated for what they did to kind of break away a little bit from the same old with Fortnite. But I mean, people like Fortnite. I mean, that's all they play. That's like Call of Duty, right? To this certain generation, Fortnite is all they play. So I can see why it's here.
I think there's two real well, it's going to be a three-way challenge between Destiny 2, Final Fantasy, and Diablo. That's my take. It could go to any of those three. Sorry, Wolf.
I was gonna say, I think it's hilarious that Fortnite, as it is now, this massive juggernaut of a success, is the version I don't want to play. The version I was excited about was the one that was a huge failure, a huge flop, and then they rebranded to this. Like, I actually wanted to play the original Fortnite, never got the chance.
That's the building one, right? With the zombies, like where you fight off the zombies in the building. Yeah. What the original game was before it turned into this survival thing, or not survival thing, but
when it was a sort of survival horror kind of like 7 days to die kind of thing, or something like that.
It is so not that now. Like,
No,
right? You can run around as Luke Skywalker and fighting Transformers. It's such a weird game now. Diablo 4 is interesting here. It's definitely done a 180, like I've said before. I don't think it wins, personally. I mean, the updates have been interesting. The seasons are much better than what I thought they would be. But I mean, I think with the expansion coming out, I think some of the items features are tied to the expansion. So I can see that the business model now will be every couple of years or every year they release a new mini expansion, and you'll be forced to buy it to keep up with playing Diablo 4. And I don't like that, especially when we have Path of Exile 2 coming out soon. And that's going to be a much better business model. So, but it's interesting to see it listed here as nominee. All right. Next game, our next category is Games for Impact. For a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message, this is the category I feel guilty for not playing these games every year. The nominees are Closer the Distance, Indica, Neva, Life is Strange Double Exposure, Senua Saga Hellblade 2, and Tales of Kenzaria Zao. There's a few games here I've heard of and I would like to play. I've played a little bit of the first Hellblade one. I like how the protagonist has to deal with a lot of schizophrenia, I think is what she has.
Yeah.
And they do that in a respectful way that is well done. I know it didn't review that well, but I still kind of want to play Hellblade 2. But the rest of these games, one of these days I will play them, and I feel guilty for not playing these ones because they're always ones that have a really strong or powerful message, and they try and break away from just games being games, but games being art. And I have nothing but respect for when companies do that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I gotta say, I only learned of Double Exposure the other day, and Double Exposure sounds really cool. Like, this is one I absolutely want to play. I've not played any of the Life is Strange games before, not for lack of wanting to, but just because I find myself wanting to play that type of game more than I actually sit and play that type of game. So not just Life is Strange, but like, the Telltale games and all that kind of stuff. Like, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, and then I try to play them and I just kind of fall off every time. But Life is Strange Double Exposure, the premise sounds awesome. The situation they put her in this time, it sounds super up my alley. Like, this is one I want to play. Right. And Tales of Kenzaria Zao is also one that was on my radar before it came out, but I just have so many games to play that I'm like, I really can't. If I know I'm not going to play it right away, I really just can't justify buying another game willy-nilly,
Yeah, I get it. I've had Senua Saga on my wish list for a while. It's they actually have a VR version of the original Hellblade, which is it's more of a look around, like you're in the game kind of thing. It's not like a first person kind of feel. It's more or less you are floating along, but kind of seeing through the back of her or whatever. It's supposed to help with the not help, but it immerses you in more of the um schizophrenic voices and stuff that you hear. Like it really circles your heads and stuff like that. It's supposed to be pretty screwy. So um I picked that one, and I've heard good reviews out of Hellblade 2. So um I need to give it a shot.
I don't have a horse in this race. I did like the Life is Strange original few. I played those. But like you, Wolf, I kind of fall off, and it's not that I don't enjoy them. It's kind of that, I here's my example. I want to watch the Mr. Rogers biopic movie, but
Tom Hanks?
every time I sit down, I'm like, I don't have it in me right now to watch that
Yeah.
because I know it's just
Yeah.
going to destroy me when I watch it.
Right.
And
Right.
like that's kind of my problem with these games is like I sit down and I'm like, well, I could do this or I could go play Blotro.
Yeah,
One year
they
there was
wanna
a
do
game
something
called
kinda mindless,
Dragon
right?
for Cancer, I think it was, and
Yes,
I
that
played
one
that game.
was
That
holy
game wrecked me
shit.
Yeah,
emotionally because I have
Dragon
kids.
Called Cancer or something like that.
It's really
Yeah.
good though, but it hits you.
But
So
but that's the problem is I love the idea of an
Yeah.
impact style game. But the problem is every time I sit down to play a game, I'm not in that kind of mood.
I don't want to be impacted. Like right now, it's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
want to escape whatever is impacting me
Nobody
currently.
really like. I doubt most people want to ugly cry with a controller in their hand,
Right.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Okay.
and therein lies the conundrum. It's at least when a movie does it to you, you're not making it do it, right?
Right. You're not like, okay, I have to
I
like
made this choice.
I have to teach my child all these things because I have cancer.
Ugly
All right.
cry with your
We're gonna go
controller.
try and get through these because we're running long, and there's some good
Yeah.
categories coming up. We're getting to the big ones. Sinistar, you want to do the next one?
Sure. Do we care about this category? The
I'm
next
familiar-
category is
I mean,
I'll
I
say
couldn't
that
even
I'm
tell
familiar
you
about.
what.
Just go ahead.
Oh, I
Wolf,
was gonna say I
speak
couldn't even tell you what sort of accessibility these games have.
yeah,
but
that's
yeah.
the problem
I-
is
Like Diablo
Yeah.
this
4
is how you can tell we're not
has
AI.
font
just so you know.
sizes and
Yeah.
lighting choices and that kind of thing and highlighting of colors. It's not very exhaustive or expensive. Dragon
I'm
Age
gonna-
Veilguard, I give them credit because I have been playing that one. They have a good amount of accessibility options. It's nothing like we saw with like Tunic in previous years, for example, but they do let you do things like instead of having like tapping motions, you can hold a button, or instead of like the timing window on parries can be very challenging if you have a disability. They have options for that. So there's
All
definitely
right,
a lot
well,
there, but it's nothing like in previous years when we saw something that we really went above and beyond to ensure that all people could play their game. I don't see anything that's really a standout choice
All
in
right.
this category.
I'm gonna vote we skip it then.
Pass that one. I love
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Best performance awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and or performance capture goes to Andy Serkis every year. The nominees are Brianna White for Final Fantasy VII-2, Hannah Telly for Life is Strange Double Exposure, Humberly Gonzalez for Star Wars Outlaws, Luke Roberts for Silent Hill 2, and Melina Jurgens for Senua's Saga Hellblade 2.
I have a horse in this race, but
I mean,
it's Luke Roberts for me.
Yeah, having watched it, I would go with Luke Roberts, but
But
I
I mean,
can't
that's the only
judge
one
the
that I
other
really left
four.
out.
right.
Right. So, but I mean, the way that Luke Roberts portrays his character in Silent Hill 2 is so fucking spot on. And the biggest complaint that we've all had watching the original Silent Hill is how there's like little to no emotion and how the voice acting is just not good. It did not age well. it wasn't great. And hearing like Luke Roberts and do James Sunderland's character as well as he did, there was so much emotion. You felt everything you were doing in that game, and how like he was desperate to do the things, but he knew none of it was real, but he wanted to believe it so badly, and you could hear it in his voice. He knocked James Sunderland out of the park. So Luke Roberts, 100% is my pick on this one. Sorry,
Yeah.
ladies, but I'm going.
Brianna White is the
I-
voice actress of Aerith in the franchise, and I hate that character. No offense to the actress.
Yeah,
but I hate that character. Thrack in chat
I
mentions
do have-
Melina Jurgens for Hellblade 2. I'm on board with that from what I've seen in the
Mhm.
first game, if it's the same actress.
Mhm.
The acting ability to put that much emotion into a role is got to be draining, and it's a very
yeah.
serious character, very deep character, and I got to respect that one. So my vote would go there as well.
Wolf, what were you going to say?
Generally speaking, like I feel like if you made this list, you probably knocked it out of the park regardless.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, they're all
Yeah,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but I mean, I'm kind of with you on Aerith. I could not stand her in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and so Rebirth probably wouldn't be much better in my eyes.
Mhm.
But that's just me. But yeah, I feel like if any of them win, it would be well deserved regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you said, or as somebody said, if they made this list, they are at the top of their class.
Yep.
Mhm.
Luke Roberts, can't stand.
All right, Wolf.
Love you,
do
Luke.
the next one.
Watch Press B.
Best audio design. Recognizing
there
the
we
best
go.
in-game audio and sound design. We got Astro Bot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2.
I'm going to call this one out. I know there's been a lot of gushing for Silent Hill 2, but that game is so heavily into sound design.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact that they took the PS2 game and PS2 or PS2.
PS2, yeah.
And just made it even
Creepier.
emptier. Like, but in an empty way that like it's the sound design makes it feel empty. It's not that it's an
Mhm.
empty sound. It's like it's not as devoid of sound. It's like, holy shit,
It's hollow.
I'm in
Yeah.
I'm in creepy mind mode here. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Absolutely. I second that. I would have to lean. Again, I haven't played Senua's Saga, but I know Hellblade has it's very inept with their inept. That's a terrible word. It's very adaptive with their sound that they did for the psychosis and the schizophrenia thing, the voices talking over one another, that whole thing. That sound design is very highly regarded. And if I had played that, it would make more sense. It's almost and I'm the horror guy of the team, right? I like all the horror games because of the sound design. So whenever you put a horror game inside a best audio design category, if the game's good, it's because of the sound design. It's Alien
Yeah.
Isolation, Dead Space, Silent Hill 2. All those games are only as good as the sound design that they play in. Because if you play Silent Hill 2 and there's fucking car horns and fucking a clown car driving by doing stupid shit, it would completely ruin the atmosphere of the entire game. So Silent Hill 2 wins this for me just because it makes the game. It makes what Silent Hill is.
Yeah.
The rest of these, I'm sure, are fantastic, and I'd have to say that Senua's Saga is probably right there with it if it's anything like the first one, which I'm almost positive
Yeah.
it is. But I have to go Silent Hill just because I played it I told you guys when we were playing it, if this game doesn't win an award for sound design or at least be nominated, someone's not paying attention to this game. So,
Yeah.
When I was watching you play it,
Yeah.
Chard, I had headphones on. I had to stop and take my headphones off because
Oh, yeah.
that creepy. The atmosphere
upgrade.
is
Well,
spot on.
It
we were
it
playing
makes
with the 7.1s. It's fucking
It-
awful with
Yeah.
these.
I mean, that's part of the point, right? Is
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
is you're in like mind fuck mode. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, that is part of the point of like it makes you want to get like. Here's an example. In Atlanta. I went to the Civil Rights Museum, and there's a there's a part where you sit down at the diner bar, and then you put on headphones, and the headphones have real recordings of like all the people that were, going after all the black patrons, and they have like kick things that make it so it feels like the stools are getting kicked. And I had to take it off. I mean, that is the thing about that kind of sound design, is it makes you want to take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say in this category, I feel like Silent Hill 2 or Hellblade 2 should get it. If either of them win,
Yeah.
like I call this category a win, because
Yep.
I mean, Astrobot, it's super cartoony. It doesn't have to have great sound design
Yeah, it's
to
cute.
make the experience. Same with
Right.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and to a lesser extent, Call of Duty.
Right.
How many times can I enjoy hearing the sounds of war? Right? I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like every time we do a game awards and we do the best sound design, a Call of Duty is in it almost every time, and it's so weird to have a Call of Duty in there. I mean, I'm sure
Well-
it sounds great to have an AR-15 firing next to you. It's fantastic, but that doesn't make the game for me. Like, okay, a gun's gonna fire because that's what I have. Getting
So
the
part
sound
of it in
design
the
is
chart is the sound of the footsteps, right? The echoes down the hallway, the bullets hitting behind you, whizzing by your ear. I can
Yeah.
see why it's important
Yeah,
to a game like that, but I still think you guys are right when you say that for a horror game, it's even more important and it's even more noticeable.
Right.
and a psychological,
Huge.
effect
Yeah, yeah.
game. Because I don't know if Sensua Saga would be considered horror. It probably is, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's a psychological game. Absolutely, you have to have sound design for that.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Silent Hill is very psychologically draining
Sure.
as well, too, but
Sure.
probably not to the extent, but it's the same kind of path. So,
All right, Chard. Next category, I think, is you.
yeah, best score in music, which
There you go.
local music. There you go. For outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. First game is Astrobot. Then we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade. I'm just going to go on a limb here right now and say I absolutely loathe the music in Stellar Blade and have to mute the game because it is the same song on repeat in every single stage, to the point to
Really?
where I actually have dreams about the songs in my head and they're not very good. And I'm just not a fan of I guess it's K-pop, and I'm just not a fan of that style
Okay.
of music.
So
It
it's
takes
the
away from what's
waifu for
going
your
on.
ears. is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just weird. I don't care for it. And if you like it, I'm sorry. It's just not my cup of tea. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, that was originally, our guy Nuobo. So, and I
Yeah.
love his music, and I love the Final Fantasy VII music before it became a remake. So, I would reluctantly select that as best score because Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is incredible, even if the game is not everybody's favorite. I don't have enough to say about Metaphoria for Fantasio. And Silent Hill's music, though very good, I think I get a lot more nostalgia from Silent Hill 2's music because of the original music, and they bring it in certain really good points of the game. The remaster sounds amazing, so it's like updated and it sounds nice. But I have a hard time being like the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack is fucking incredible. You know what I mean?
Right.
It'd have to be something like a Final Fantasy for me, or even Metaphor ReFantazio's probably got some killer tunes in it too. And Stellar Blade's music is music. It is music. It's too K-pop for me, and I just can't. I've literally muted the music of the game.
Silent
can't
Hill
stand
2 is actually about not having the music, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
yeah.
The sound of
But the
silence,
songs
good,
that are
but
in
it's
it
there.
are good.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but at the same time, like, so much of that game is that creepy, empty effect sound.
Atmosphere,
Like,
yeah.
But I think
Um,
this is more or less not what it adds to the game. Just it came with the game,
sure,
kind of
sure.
argument. But I have to go with Final Fantasy just because you'd be hard pressed to not find a good Final Fantasy song anywhere
Yeah.
Yeah.
at this point, especially if it's
Yeah,
Uematsu
when you
who
end up
wrote it.
with-
I mean, you know.
When you end up with a weeks long JRPG, chances are one of those is going to take it.
Right.
So probably Final Fantasy or Metaphor on this one would be
Yeah.
my guess.
Like my experience with Remake, I don't want to really play Rebirth, to be honest. But if I did, it probably because I know the music is going to be decent. That's the only reason. Yeah, I don't really have a horse in this one, I don't think. I'm interested to see what Metaphor or Refantasio sounds like. I actually might want to pick that one up maybe in the new year. That one sounds like a good Sisyphean choice or something.
All right. Jake's setting
Sorry,
himself up for
Yeah, for
There's
180
some more
hours.
It's only
games.
of
180
game.
hours. It's fine. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll find
Yeah.
the time. Look, if I can get Diamond Rank in Street Fighter 6 within 2 years, it's not a problem.
Yeah, how's that going?
Yeah.
That's uninstalled currently, but I'll get back to installing it soon. Don't worry. Don't you worry. It's
I think I have a higher rank in that game than you do right now.
it's not a hard bar. All right. Is the next one me then?
Yes.
Best art direction, outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Nominees are Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Metaphor Refantasio, and Neva. This is a hard category. There's some really nice games here.
Right.
Yeah, I will say like Neva is very stylistic, and while I do think it's very pretty, I am not a huge fan of the way they did it personally. It's just it doesn't look how I want a game to look when I'm playing it. I don't know if that makes any sense,
right.
but it looks kind of odd to me in that regard. Again, very pretty. Like if it were screenshot painting, absolutely. But I have a suspicion this is going to go to Metaphor. And I want to mention that I don't think Elden Ring should be on this list because it's the same game.
No.
It's not new art direction. It's the same art direction.
No. Okay, this is one where
Okay.
I'm actually going to back Chart up because he's probably going to vote for this one too. Where'd he go? Did he
Okay.
disappear? Did he run off to get the art?
I
He
think
went
he
off
had
to
to
get his
go-
art book. Oh, talk to his wife.
No,
Okay.
he had him there at his desk.
Yeah. Erd Tree, when you enter the one zone at night and it's a field of glowing blue flowers,
Yeah.
it's jaw dropping. Like when you first start up Elden Ring, the base game, that first moment you step outside the open world and how breathtaking it is, I didn't think they would top that moment, but they do in Shadow of the Erd Tree. Like the graphic design is just, it's amazing. The direction of the zones, they are just as pretty, and a lot of places they surpass how amazing they look compared to the base game. They did an amazing job on the graphics. Like it's really just jaw dropping. So I think Erd Tree does have a shot at this category.
All
Okay.
right.
You missed
I
it,
don't
Chart.
really
I agreed
have-
with you.
I don't really have a horse in this other than, I mean, I do agree that Erd Tree is absolutely stunning and does bring art direction to it.
Okay.
But as far as the others, I mean, I don't really have experience, so I can't really talk to him.
I'll
I got to
finish by
chime in
saying
real quick.
Go ahead.
I just want to chime in real quick. Sorry, I had to run off because something was happening in my house, but everything's good. Archery is beautiful, fantastic. When you first approach and you see the whole Shadow realm when you walk in, absolutely amazing. The videos that I've seen of Black Myth Wukong are absolutely spellbinding. Like there's the very first tutorial fight when you're learning how everything goes. You're fighting on a cloud, and you're fighting these giant gods like on this cloud, but your movement, the cloud follows your movement. So like when you swing your staff into like a circle motion, it's like a mist that follows your weapon everywhere you go, and it's so beautiful and so fluid looking. And that was one of the big reasons I was like, I gotta play this. This looks really neat. So as much as I absolutely, and I loved Elden Ring, the design of Elden Ring Erd Tree from front to back is amazing. And the little snippet of Black Myth looks so cool. I have to go Erd Tree just because I finished it. But holy shit. If anything, even if that game is completely terrible story-wise, it's still one of the most prettiest looking games I've ever watched.
It's Unreal Engine 5, and if anything, Wukong gets me really excited to see what other games use Unreal 5 in the next five years, because it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful game. From characters to bosses, the environments, it's a very pretty game. Like, it's amazing looking.
I just looked at a video for Metaphor, and it's cell shaded. I mean, it's that cell shading style, but at the same time, like, I don't know that I would qualify it as any better than the others in that category. Like, yeah.
It's the style from Persona, right? Persona 5, I raved about the style of that game, and Fantasio is like that kind of style, right? Obviously different world and all this stuff, but
Sure.
it's the battle menus and all that stuff are really interesting and awesome looking. It's a style ass game. If this was called best style, I think I would pick that one. But for best
Right.
art overall, it's I think Erdtree or Wukong.
All right. All right. Are we back around to me?
Yep.
All right. Next category, and we're down to the last handful. We're on
Almost
best
there.
narrative. We only have this and two more after this, folks.
Okay.
Best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative
Storytelling.
development in a game. Storytelling. The nominees are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor Re-Fantasio, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. Y'all know my vote.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, I know I'm going completely against my remake theory here, but I don't give a shit. It's so good. It's so good. It was so well done.
Colin's got the numbers.
I don't know what I would pick for this category. I mean, I haven't really played any of these. I've seen you play Silent Hill 2. It just feels weird giving best story to a game that is remade, but they did expand it, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
change
yeah.
it to a degree, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's
in Silent Hill 2. I thought you were talking about Rebirth. Yeah, Rebirth, they have been changed and expanded as well.
No, right. Yeah. But again, it's
Uh-oh.
number 2, right? I mean, Silent Hill 2 is 2, but Silent Hill stands alone on its own.
I think
it only struggles having 2 in the title.
I think I misspoke. I don't know what I said, but apparently I didn't say Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
No, you're bad. Well done. No,
Did you not? I thought you did.
Silent Hill 2 is just the narration and the story direction. I know it was already written in 2001 or whatever when they really released it, but they dug so deep into it and they really hit all the right notes and they just redesigned it so fucking well. I'm just eating my words about how remakes should not be nominated for anything because Jesus Christ, this game really just knocked it out of the ballpark for me. So fuck you, Dead Space. This is your fault for making me think these ways. So yeah, Silent Hill 2 is definitely best narrative in this category for me.
I like a good Yakuza story, like I really do, but I've been explicitly kind of trying to avoid spoilers of Infinite Wealth because I haven't beaten the first one yet. What I played of the first one, I really dug. I thought it was really great and interesting, heartwarming in a weird way. But I mean, that's what Yakuza does. It pulls the heartstrings in a weird, endearing way, despite them being like criminals. So Infinite Wealth, I do want to check it out, but I'm deliberately trying to avoid spoilers.
Criminals with a heart of gold.
Yeah, it's Yakuza is a weird thing, man. I love it though.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, our next reader has walked off.
Char, do you want to do it, and then Wolf can do the other one?
Yeah, totally.
As we tell our spouses, we're very sorry. We're almost done. It's been 2 hours.
It's all right. I just came downstairs and the wife's like, "You're good. Go back." Best game direction awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in a game direction and design. 6 games to choose from, gentlemen. We have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Re-Fantasio. Best game direction.
Sorry, I missed my announcement
go
here.
Go for it.
You can do the next one.
I heard honking in the driveway, and I know the wife was getting home from shopping, so I needed to make sure she was okay.
No, you're good. I feel you.
Can I say I find it super interesting that Balatro is here?
I was thinking the same thing.
You know, great. it has to be
That's
against some juggernauts like Black Myth,
Yeah.
Final
right.
Fantasy 7, and Erdtree and Fantasio, and you got fucking Balatro sitting up
Balatro.
here.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and
I'm voting for it. I'm
Wow.
I'd
voting
be
for
safe
it.
to go with it. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, Erdtree is amazing. I'd love it to win this award, but it's more of the same, right? And it's a DLC. Black McWukong, beautiful game, kind of more of the same. Balatro is
Well,
its own.
yeah.
It's a new thing.
Yeah,
It's a different beast in all of this. I
and
dig
this
it.
is
I'd vote
about
for this.
like creative and innovative
Yes.
game
Mhm.
direction and design, and
Yeah.
Balatro is all over that. Like,
Yeah.
it's something
I'm
new that wasn't
voting.
really a thing before. So
I'm
I gotta go
voting
Balatro
Balatro
on this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
I'd be fine with that.
The thing with Balatro, I love how it's one developer, and then he very easily we all thought it when we first saw the trailer for Balatro. Oh, there's gonna be microtransactions. Oh, you can probably pay money for packs or something. How easy it could have been in that direction, but it didn't. Right? It's nothing like
Yeah.
that at all. It's completely. In fact, it's the polar opposite. He's a guy who hates gambling, right? To the point where he told his
Yeah.
family, "I'm putting my will into my estate that this game cannot be sold or its likeness be sold to casinos for gambling machines in the future." Like he's definitely had a vision for Balatro.
And I'm
Um,
sure he's had companies reach out to him and be like,
Oh,
"Hey, we
for
think
sure.
we'll buy the
Oh,
Yeah.
or license or something." Nope.
For me though, I'm gonna pick Astrobot. I know the first Astrobot came out, people really dug it. The platforming was very tight. The controls are really awesome. This new Astrobot though is them being told, okay, now you get to make a full-on game, not a demo for the PlayStation. Now you get to make your own full-on game. And again, they very easily could have done a short, fun 3D platformer like the original, but they did something that is on par with Mario Odyssey or the Mario games, right? And that's the thing I've heard again and again in reviews. This game is that good. Not just for the gameplay being so tight and the controls being so fantastic, the character being endearing, but there's some deep pulls in terms of the cameos for how they pull like costumes from various games from PlayStation's back catalog and history, titles that you would not have think to see come back, right? So they definitely, it's a love letter to the PlayStation's history, which I really appreciate. And again, it's a game that where I'm like, I wish I had a PlayStation. I wish I could play this game because I'd be into some of the stuff they're pulling. Because some of the stuff they're pulling is from PS1 era, which is the one I did play a lot of, right? I missed 2 and 3 and 4, but I would love to see some of this
Come
stuff
on
from
down to
PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
come on down to
You
Seattle,
just-
Jake. I got you, baby.
You
Yeah,
just
gotta
have
go
to
down
drive
down
to
there.
Seattle.
You gotta
Yeah,
come to the
that's all I
house,
can do
man.
from all the way down here in Canada.
Probably cheaper than buying a PlayStation 5 at this time, dude.
Actually, you're probably not wrong.
And you
I
get
do want
to
to play
have an
Astrobot.
experience on top of that. So it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But I will say Balatro, though, I love that game could have gone a completely different way. It could have been the cheapest, free-to-play, pay-to-win, microtransaction garbage. That's not. It's the exact opposite, and it's wonderful. But I think Balatro wins many other categories for me, but I think this one is Astrobot for me personally.
I just got a
Fair.
preview of the next category, and holy shit.
I'm
Yeah.
my homerism for Shadow of the Erdtree, but I just think
'Kay.
Balatro just
Okay.
matches.
Werewolf.
So Wolf,
Werewolf,
do the next
read
Game
it
of the
out.
year.
Read it out. Yeah.
We
yeah.
got game
Here
of
we
the
go.
Last
year.
one.
The exact same list. Astrobot,
man.
Balatro, Black
Holy
Myth
shit.
Wukong,
Yeah.
Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Refantasio.
That's really
Balatro
cool.
is on Game of the Year. That is
That's
so
really
wild.
cool.
You know what? I'm
That's
I'm
cool.
gonna call it. I'm gonna call it. I'm calling Balatro or Balatro. I'm calling it.
I'm
Can
sorry.
you imagine the upset?
Oh man, that's a huge upset.
I-
out of
I
these
feel like they
five
can't
games-
give it to Balatro because
No.
you got all
Vampire
these big
Survivors
AAA
won past
companies.
year Game of the Year.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Vampire
It
Survivors can win Game of the Year, so can Balatro.
Did Vampire Survivors win Game of the Year?
Yeah. Pretty sure
Look
it
it
did.
up.
Did it? Let me
My
look it
pal
up.
said, I have a feeling that you guys have been hanging out with my crew too much, who have constantly shouted out that Vampire Survivors should be Game of the Year, Vampire Survivors. And when I was talking about Erdtree, or not Erdtree, but Elden Ring before Erdtree came out. So whenever I said, we're going to go play the Game of the Year, Bridget would say, you mean Vampire Survivors? Like, no. But it should have, because of all the, I don't know why that's not on here. There's been so much good shit on there. That should have been continuous in the continuous one. That one should be on there. That game has just sucked the life
I
out
mean,
of
I know
me.
last year had Sea of Stars on Game of the Year, but that was a pretty standout indie game last year.
Yeah.
And Balatro is a really standout indie game this year. So I get it,
Mhm.
but I feel like if they gave it to Balatro, all these AAA companies would pull their advertising from the Game Awards next year. You know what I mean?
It's rigged. I'm sure it's rigged.
It's not
I'm sure it's
rigged.
rigged
I
for
mean, these are games critics that are doing the votes. It's fine. It won. Vampire Survivors won the BAFTA Game of the Year, not the Game Awards, is from what I can see. So,
Okay.
still, I mean,
It's still Game of the Year. It's still pretty big.
it's still a great game. Yeah.
So. Listen, out of all these selections, I'm going to be hated and paraded through town like a leper, but I'm going with Erdtree. I'm sorry. It's a great game. It might as well be its own thing. I know it's a DLC, but you could easily wipe Elden Ring off the title and just call it Shadow of the Erdtree and have it be a FromSoft-esque type game, and it could easily be its own thing. I'm going with Erdtree.
If we're gonna base it on the Metacritic from what came out this year, it's gonna go to either Final Fantasy or Metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, I think the DLC hinders Erdtree from getting beyond, like, not getting a Game of the Year selection. So I definitely see that. So if Final Fantasy VII wins this, I'm never doing an episode on this fucking thing ever again. I swear to God. And I'm the Final Fantasy homer. I'm the fucking
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
I don't-
guy, and I cannot stand that this game is just fucking loved because it's such a goddamn cash grab. I hate it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm voting Balatro.
It's fair. It's a good pick.
Yeah.
Strong pick.
I think I'm with you guys, Balatro. I don't think it's going to win though, but I think I'm with you guys personally. It's definitely my.
I would
winner.
love to see it win. That would
like
be
twice
so
this
cool.
year, right? January or beginning of the year is my Steam Deck game of the year. Practically, the start of this year, it was the game I played the most on my Steam Deck, and now it's on mobile, and I'm playing it up again a ton. It's still just as good.
I'm sure it's gonna like be a huge chunk of my Steam recap.
Yeah,
right. I'm sad
Yeah.
GP's not here because his love of Balatro is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's bought that game
high.
4 times for his household.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
The old Balatro bump, baby.
Yeah.
Balatro bump. All right, guys.
Well,
That was a
think that's
marathon
what we can.
episode. I'm sorry to keep
Yeah.
you here that long.
You know what? We did a
Yeah.
2-hour episode tonight because we missed last week, so there we
There you go.
made up for it. Right?
Well, and it's
Yeah, there you go.
it's good to do a 2-hour for me to come back since I've been out for like 2 months.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
It's not like you haven't been
Yes.
doing something super life
Yeah,
altering or
I don't know
anything.
what I did. It was
He's
I
got a
was
new
I was
wall.
sit- I was sitting
Woke up
yeah,
in a new
I-
house.
Yeah, you,
I-
you
I
installed
paint-
a new wall.
I painted and put in some wainscoting.
Some trim.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Looks nice.
Yeah.
Nice crown molding.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Real quick, if is there anything you want to shout out really quick, Wolf?
No, well, I listened to Behind Her Eyes, the audiobook, and then watched the show. The show did it justice really well. Cool take on kind of a cheating husband turned into a murder mystery kind of thing.
Mm.
Really neat. Highly recommend. Hell of a surprise ending.
Okay.
Awesome. Sinistar?
Silo season 2 just started, so I'll have to
I gotta
catch up
watch
on that
that.
one because
Yeah.
that series is an epic read, and the TV show did it as close to justice as I think you could do in a TV show.
Yeah.
And Chard, what about you? What do you got going on?
There's a possibility that I will be hosting some sort of charity event towards the end of the year here. I'm getting in contact with StackUp. Those of you who don't know, StackUp is a charity company that works with veterans and does basically help veterans out with things that they need, and they use streams and stuff like that to help promote what they do. They actually also work with Advanced GG, the company that I'm sponsored by. And once I get some more details and dates for that, I'll be making an announcement and bringing some folks along with me on the ride for that weekend. So check that out. Otherwise, just come over, hang out with me at Twitch, /Chardmonk. We're going to be doing some more Alan Wake 2 this weekend. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do next after Alan Wake 2. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of Alan Wake. I'm not sure, but I haven't
Shit.
decided if we're
Means I
going to go
gotta
back to
play it.
retro or
Dragon
play
Quest
some more
3.
Dead Space, or
Dragon Quest 3.
I could play Dragon's Quest 3. I've been playing that on my own on the Steam Deck, which has been super fun. But goddamn, that game is really hard. Or I'll grab the PlayStation 5, bring it back up here, and do some Stellar Blade streaming because game's actually really fucking good. So,
All right. And of course, we are
Yep.
Press B to Cancel. You can find us at pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org. You can also listen to our audio episodes anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, including something like ours. You can also find us on the Superpod Network. Please check out the superpodnetwork.net. Somebody look that up. Shit.
Superpodnetwork.com.
Thank you.
there it is.
Check them out. There's a
Dot
bunch of great shows there.
Org.
You can
Not-
never make fun of me about that
pressb.org,
again.
not .net. But yeah, check out the folks on Superpod Network. They're fantastic. A lot of great shows. I listen to a lot of the 3DO podcasts personally. Of course, the Superpod Saga is also a lot of fun. Tommy's driving along when he does an episode is always fantastic. The dude's doing podcasts from his fucking car, and it's about games journalism and topics that are pretty unique for our space, and I love it. So a lot of great stuff there as well. And of course, yes, catch us every Friday here on Press B to Cancel on YouTube or on Twitch. And if you like this show, please drop us a follow or a like. They're free, and it does help us out quite a bit. But until next time, we are Press B to Cancel.